What we do here is go back.
And hopefully we are live. Good evening, Mike here, Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. It is Saturday, the 1st of March 2025, and that in itself is an extremely scary thing. First of all, can you hear me? Can you see me? If you can, let me know in the chat. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Make sure Dave can clearly hear me. Tonight we'll be taking a look at the Antec Flux wooden case, well, partly wood any case, and be interested to hear what your thoughts are on it. And obviously, after our previous discussions about Antec and the problems behind the scenes, it'll be interesting to see what this case can bring to the table. And bring to the table, it certainly will. We'll be checking it out, and I should say massive shout out to Colin Hilton for kindly providing it to us for review purposes. Much appreciated. He said it's ours to do what we see fit with, so you never know. You might even end up seeing it sat behind me. It might end up being a video editing PC, or you never know, we might even do a giveaway on it. We'll see how things go, see what we think of it, and see what the general consensus is regarding the case. Hopefully you can hear me. Let's have a look. Mike's live. Yes, we can hear a cat. Yes, Dave is about. All in sync. Good stuff. We've got some super chats already, so let's quickly go through those. So for those of you that don't know what this is all about, the live stream on a Saturday, it's kind of like just a friendly social. Don't think of it as a stream as such, or a review or anything serious. It's just me talking to some friends, and yeah, you're along for the ride. It's like being down the pub, but a bit cheaper, and possibly no cigarette machines or condom machines. Do they have those in pubs anymore? I honestly don't know. I haven't been to a pub in such a long time, I couldn't tell you.
You went to a pub last month.
Well, I did for a dinner, but it wasn't really a pub, it was more of a restaurant. It did have condom machines actually in the toilets. Some of the new flavours are very interesting. Not as interesting as their menu for desserts, but certainly interesting nonetheless. Let's start off with the super chats before I go completely off tangent. Has that worked? Yes, it has. Excellent stuff. So there is Mick Woods. Thank you very much, Mick. He's come in with a £20 super chat. Many thanks. It says, good evening, Mike, Kath and Mub fans around the globe. Here is a small token of thanks to my favourite live stream. Oh, bless you. That's very kind of you to say so. It's not a small token, it's a large token. Much appreciated. Thank you. And underneath that one, we've got two from Rick H. Good old Rick H there. $2. Disco, disco, disco. And he did another one straight after. I'm not sure whether that was a mistaken one. It says message retracted, so I'm not sure what he said there. Maybe it's disco, disco, disco again.
Have the light on.
You never know. You can have the light twice. What's this? Error. Try again. What's going on with YouTube at the moment? There's lots of things going on with YouTube apparently at the moment. Different changes which are going on. So yeah, if you're there's one more.
Okay.
If your YouTube browser starts going nuts, yeah, don't worry about it too much. It's YouTube being YouTube as they are. And where's the other one? There we go. Scroll down there. So another good friend of the channel, Mark Gaines there, with another £20 donation. Thank you very much. It says, hello, Mike, Kath, and everyone in the chat. Thank you very much, Mark. Much appreciated. God, that thing is really actually blinding me a bit tonight. I'm going to have to get rid of that thing. Got a new monitor. Some of you can probably just about see it off the side here. This monitor was actually sent to me ages ago by Welly Bob, Rick. Thank you very much. Well, I'm not too sure if it's the one that Rick sent. Many moons ago, there was a special offer on for students. So if you could get yourself a student email address, you could buy a Lenovo monitor for half price. Now, the monitor that we've got here, I'm trying to think of the model number. I can't think of the model off the top of my head. In fact, actually, if it's on the menu, yes, it is. It's the L28U-30. So this is a 28-inch IPS display, 4K monitor, 60 Hz, so it's not overly designed for gaming, but the actual color reproduction and all that kind of stuff is absolutely excellent. And for a 28-inch screen, 4K, can't go too far wrong. Now I actually bought one of these, and Rick said, oh, actually, I bought one of those ages ago, which I don't use anymore. Do you want it? And the idea was I was going to try and do like a multi-monitor setup, so 2 of them next to each other. But that never happened. So there's 2 of them. They were sitting in the loft up until very recently. One of them is now on Kath's desk. So she's using one, and I'm using the other one now. So I've replaced the old vintage Acer monitor that was there. The Acer monitor, which was here previously, we actually rescued out of a skip. But it's lasted us the best part of, I don't know, maybe...
We've left there since
probably,
2018.
yeah, I don't think I actually used it in, because you had it on your desk for a while and then I moved it. So, yeah, it's, the other monitor has been in use for at least 10 years, I think it must have been. Around about 10 years. It actually been on the wall here for probably the best part of 6. So, when you've watched any videos and you've seen a monitor in the background of the shots, which is kind of what I use to monitor what the camera sees, that was what you could see. I don't know why I didn't put this up here before. I thought, well, it's 28 inches, it's going to be too big, but I actually measured it. Because it's got really nice small bezels around the outside edge, it's actually smaller than the 27-inch Acer, which I took away, which the bezels on that were literally like about an inch and a half thick all the way around. Proper old school monitor. So anyway, very happy to have that there now, and I'm not happy though, because I can't get it to run 4K. I can only get it to do 1080p because I'm using a a DisplayPort to HDMI adapter in the back of my graphics card, because the length of the cable, and I've only got... Otis, shut up!
Why is it out?
I haven't got a long enough DisplayPort cable is the ultimate answer, so I need to get myself a longer DisplayPort cable. Now I've put that out, I only did it today, so I'm going to order myself a 3 meter or 4 meter, I think 3 meters are probably enough. Get myself a 3 meter DisplayPort cable, then I can plug it in, I can have a proper resolution there. And actually, with my chair sat here now, I think I could actually probably work at this. This feels much more comfortable. Anyone who's actually seen here behind the scenes will know that my video editing desk is basically the most unergonomic thing on the planet ever. It's absolutely horrendous. But actually just sitting here in this chair with this monitor at like a nice eye height, this is actually very nice, and I think I could get used to this. Although this is our dining room table, so I can't really get too used to it, but now I know what it's like for some of you guys out there where you've got your desk setups and you've just got it all laid out nicely. The bliss you must experience. I still can't get my feet under the desk because there's so many boxes under here, but it's a step in the right direction, so I'm comfortable, which is good. Just readjust myself. Yes, I'm not sat on the little stool. We're all doing good. Rick says you need that Ultra HD resolution mic. I do. Even though saying that, if I do run at 4K, I still put the text scaling up to 200%. I do miss old school monitors like 1080p. Well, not even 1080p. I think 1024 by 768 on a 19-inch CRT. For me, that was the proper job. I can actually see it then. Fireframe says, Mike, better to buy a new case with fans or without? That is a very open-ended question. Arguably, depends on what the fans are, and if they're fans you like, I suppose. Or if you've got fans already. Many, many answers to that question. Letter says, I solved my problem with text being too small with my 3440 by 1440p monitor. I changed the resolution to 2560 by 1080 and it's perfect. It sounds like a plan. And it's easier on your graphics card as well. Rasher says 1440p is good enough for my old peepers. I'll be honest with you, when I'm doing my video editing at the desk there, my other monitor is a 27.5, I think, or 28. That is 1440p. And it's absolutely fine. I would have liked a wider monitor though. I have got a widescreen monitor, as Welly Bob knows, because he sent me that as well. And I've been burning to be able to use that on my desk for such a long time, but it's because of the width of it, it will not fit inside the kind of cubby hole for my desk. I could put it up here and it'd be alright, it'd be massive, but anyway, I move on. See, so yeah, good to see plenty of you in the chat, and obviously there's many things that we can talk about. We'll have a chat and a natter for a little while before we take a look at the case. just so waiting for everybody to kind of get in, get settled, have their food and have their say and what have you. And of course, there are many things that we can discuss. Many things going on in the world at the moment, as some of you may already be aware of. In the tech side of things, there's a lot of things going on also. So some of you may have watched yesterday's AMD announcement of the new 90 class graphics cards. It's getting really confusing now. The 90 class graphics cards from AMD, so the new RX 970 and the 970 XT, and also the relatively soon to be launched the 9060 also. So I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on those particular graphics cards and their estimated street prices. At the moment, as far as I know, in terms of pricing, we have the price of, I think it was it $599 for the 9070 XT and $549 for the 9070 non-XT version, both of which 16 gig graphics cards, PCI Express Gen 5. In theory, possibly still using 8-pin power supplies, but it does appear there have been leak shots already of some vendors, namely Sapphire, opting for the new 12-pin connector. For better or for worse, I personally think it's probably the better solution, and it will start trying to make people buy into more suitable power supplies for the type of graphics cards they're running. The 12-pin connector with the extra 4 sense pins, yes, it is problematic, but there's something about the new ATX 3.1 and PCI Express Gen 5.1 standards in terms of excursions and power limits, etc., which is more designed for these modern graphics cards. So if you're buying a new modern 50 series NVIDIA or 90 series, or even probably older ones from either one of those really, 30 series onwards, you really do need to be looking at your power supply and what it can actually do and how well it handles those power excursions. So you don't get those blue screens of death, you don't get the crashes, you don't get your games crashing, all that kind of stuff, which is really a pain in the backside. So yes, that's an interesting one. Whether or not they should have all gone for the same thing and all graphics cards now being on the 12-pin connector, probably not, but certainly I think the higher end ones, especially anything over maybe sort of a 300 watt TDP or TGP as it's now known, it probably is a good idea. But there's a lot of people who've still got very nice power supplies which have only got the normal PCIe 6 or 8-pin connectors, so yeah, it's a difficult one. Another super chat come in there from our good friend Rasher, and he says there, contributing now before, let's cover that thing up. Contributing now before I get sozzled and forget on my only night of the week drinking. Bless you. Thank you very much, Rasher, and have a... I wonder what you were doing then. I thought you were flashing your boobs at me. Kath's doing exercises. Am I allowed to say? Okay. So Kath thinks you might have a hiatus hernia. A lot of the symptoms she's experiencing recently point in that direction. So she's now trying to do exercises to try and help the hiatus hernia. If anyone's in the chat and you've had it before, I think I've had it, or at least the kind of what they call a GERD or gastro whatever it is, reflux disease. Basically, it's, yeah, your stomach acid or your stomach itself comes through the diaphragm, etc. And it's just basically a bad time. You get all kinds of weird things going on. You get sore throats, you get neck pains, shoulder pains, back pains, arm pains, chest pains, all sorts of pains. It's just, yeah, breathing difficulties, erratic heart rate, all kinds of bizarre stuff. So yeah, it's a horrible thing, and there isn't really any bona fide cure for it. You can either take tablets for the rest of your days, or you can try and improve your health possibly, or your posture. You can have keyhole surgery to kind of fix the damage if there's physical damage, but it's generally a bad thing. So, but Kath's found some exercises which appear to be helping, so she's doing those while she's doing the super chat lamp. So if you want to send more super chats to help Kath's gastrointestinal injury, then please feel free to do so. Not only are you helping the channel, you're actually helping Kath as well. There you go.
Dutch Jam just above. Super chat.
Dutch Jan says, question, what is wrong with the 2 or 3 times 8-pin cables? There's nothing, excuse me, there's nothing actually wrong with them themselves, actually. Let me grab a drink. I just swallowed some spittle then.
Was it your own?
It was supposed to be in there. That's better. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with those cables at all. The thing I'm trying to get across is the fact that if you've got a power supply which has got the older PCI cables on, there's a chance that it's it's either ATX 2 point something, maybe 2.4. It's unlikely to be ATX 3.0, which is not entirely necessary, but part of the ATX 3.0 specification is those power excursions. So when your graphics card or your motherboard or your CPU tries to draw more power than it normally would do. So I think they call it like opportunist boosting. And when it does that, it can use a lot more power for like just the briefest millisecond just to try and increase performance. But in doing that, it goes over and above the normal rated ATX specifications or the PCI Express specifications. With the new connectors, the new 5 PCI Express Gen 5, yeah, it is Gen 5, I get confused now. PCI Express Gen 5 connectors are designed with those power excursions in mind. So that is just something to consider. If you're using maybe like a 5-year-old system, like AM4, and you're on like maybe a 20 series NVIDIA card, or even probably as new as some of the 6000 series AMD, you're probably not going to notice the problems. But as you get onto the newer platform, AM5, the processors can spike just momentarily quite high, and certainly the graphics cards on modern ones can do as well. There was a lot of kind of complaints, and Steve from Gamers Nexus did a massive like 1 hour long video on power excursions. So if you want to know what they're all about, check his video out. It's very good. There's so much detail in it. It's just a very good video. So I would seriously consider checking that out. In terms of the actual 8-pin cables themselves, they're fine, and they will deliver a pretty hefty amount of power. The thing is, the PCI Express 8-pin was basically an abomination of the PCI Express 6-pin, and the original 6-pin was designed to take up to 150 watts. But by adding the 2 extra grounding wires, I think they kind of fudged it so they could double it, so like 300 watts per plug, which isn't really... Potentially it could do, but you've got to have the right wiring as well to be able to do that. So if you've got like thin gauge cabling and you've just got the extra 2 pins there, it's probably still going to burn out. But using 3 of them all together, A, is messy, because you've got a block basically the same as a 24-pin motherboard power connector sticking out the side of your graphics card, so it isn't particularly pretty. And you have to have a decent power supply still to be able to do 3 times PCI Express 8-pin safely. You need realistically like an 850 watt power supply or above. You probably get away with it less, and people would like pigtail them as well, which again, depending on what your graphics card is. If your graphics card needs those 3 pins, pigtailing is probably not an ideal solution. It can work, but just make sure you've got decent cabling, and yeah, you get the general idea. Alexa says, browser tab RAM usage climbing fast. What's mine on at the moment? I've not looked at mine for a while. 733 seems to be the norm for me these days for most tabs. Oh, I've moved that. That's all gone wrong. Let's move that back. Right, what else you guys are saying? I don't think I've answered that question particularly well, but I don't know. Firephone's asking, Mike, were you ever hosed? Possibly. I don't know what that means. Does that mean like drunk? I don't know. What does hosed mean? Let us know in the comments if you know what that is. I'm probably too old to know what that means. But hosed, I think, used to be used as a description for being pissed or drunk. Letter says, I've had surgery twice for hernias. Oof. Mark says, acid reflux is awful. Oh, Markovsky as well. Thank you very much for renewing your YouTube membership. I noticed that when I looked at the tab earlier before I come on. So thank you for that. Gaming since 1981 says I'm more than happy with my 7900 XTX at the moment, so no need to upgrade. No, I don't think you're going to be missing out on anything. And in fact, it would be a downgrade to get any of the new cards at the moment, I think, personally. But yes. David Thompson says, I must increase my bust. God, that was an old one, isn't it? From the PE lessons in the 70s and 60s. Firephone says fizzy wather. I don't know what that means. I'm a bit lost, sorry. Let's have a look, see what other questions there are. Mark says, I want to see a desktop APU. Oh, scrolled. Desktop APU with Radeon 8060S iGPU on it. I will buy that. The new Strix Halo stuff looks interesting. It's about kind of 1060 stroke 1070 kind of level performance, which for an integrated GPU is fantastic. I am looking forward to getting one of those at some point. Alessa says, right after refreshing memory cache is up to 2.6 gigs. It's the chat, it's weird. I don't know how or why. You'd think they'd fix it. It's stupid. Ashley Strachan says, yo, 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 muddy funsners. How you doing? Let's have a look. Craig MCM says, I've had an acid reflux for months. I found that mince and licorice works. Stay well away from tea and coffee or cut down. Yeah, that's one of the things that we've both done since last May. We haven't really, well, we probably had something with caffeine in, but I think I've probably had 1 or 2, maybe 3 coffees and teas in the last 10 months, 9 to 10 months. So yeah, I've almost completely removed caffeine and tea and coffee from my diet, which seems to have helped, to be fair.
It's not really, the acid reflux doesn't really affect me too much. I just thought, because I've had pneumonia, didn't I? And it all started at the same time as that. So whether it was me coughing. Yeah,
Kath had a sort of a pneumonia, and because she was coughing a lot and everything was going wrong, she thought she strained it. So.
But that's when the breathing started. But it's the breathing that bothers me. The acid reflux isn't really too bad on me. It just feels like mental when I breathe. But
yeah.
nothing, it's not bad in that way. It's just the breathing's the worst bit. I can feel it's there, but not much.
Oh, Firephone says, no, you buying used PC parts which were faulty. I've only bought one which was faulty, which hopefully is actually going to be fixed. That was the Asus Tough Gaming motherboard, which actually Matthew Day bought for us. He sent us the Amazon vouchers and said, like, risk it, see what it was like, if it works, and it's like kind of bought the board for the show. But actually, that board didn't work, so I'm going to be sending it off to Adamant IT. I asked him in the stream today, and if you haven't checked out Adamant IT, I suggest you do. It's a great channel, very interesting stuff. A lot of board repairs and battery fixes and basically the sort of stuff you'd see in a proper PC shop, but done on a very down-to-earth level. So it's very worth watching, and I will be sending my board off to Adamant IT for him to take a look at and possibly redo the BIOS chip, which I think might be corrupted. I'm not entirely sure, but my soldering skills are basically non-existent or less, so I'm going to send it to somebody who has far more experience than I do. So yeah, look out for that. A little bit of a mash up there between the channels. There's a super chat coming there from Danmar007. Thank you very much for your 25 Canadian dollars. Thank you very much. I wish I could afford more zeros. That's more than enough zeros. You could put one less on there and we would still be very happy. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Much appreciated. And that is your first super on a live stream as well. Thank you very much. Rick H says, I'm still using my GTX 1650 4 gig. Does me fine. I used to love buying those. I still do look for them. A nice little GTX 1650 Super or whatever 4 gig card or if you can pick up, what was the other one that was quite similar? Like the 1060s and stuff. Yeah, they're great cards. Still got a lot of mileage. Well, I say they've still got a lot of mileage in them. The 10 series looks like it's coming to an end. Excuse me. So there's more and more discussion about the 10th generation from NVIDIA, basically losing driver support. So those of you out there on your 1060s, 1070s and 1080s, might be time to think about getting rid of it pretty quickly before the prices get absolutely hammered. Might be worth sending them into CEX or something like that, get a decent bit of money back for them before the market decides nope, no good, not going to have it. I think it's not far off happening. If I had to wager, I would suggest that the 10 series NVIDIA cards will not be supported officially in drivers by the end of the year. I think that's a pretty safe bet, if not earlier. Maybe even third quarter. Still, obviously you can still use it with older drivers, and I'm guessing because the amount of physical cards out there in the wild, that somebody somewhere will fudge a driver, but it's always nice to be able to get the latest drivers. But I guess it depends what you're looking for. Zero Defect says the 960 is still getting driver updates. Is it really? I thought the 900 series was defunct. Rick H says, do you mean even my GT 1030? I've still got a GT 1030 up there. Mecha Cameron's in the house. How you doing? Says hello. Yeah, 1070 was a great card. I remember getting my first 1070. There was a local person on Facebook who I knew, and he basically worked in well, I'm not too sure exactly what he did, but some sort of production studio. And basically they would just get a bunch of graphics cards or get like a pallet of PCs in from another company, and they would use what they could and strip down the rest and sell it off. And he'd be selling sort of 1070s, like 5-10 of them, some 1080s, 1080 Ti's and 970s and stuff like that, all at really good pricing. And I think at one point I bought 5 1070s off him and a 1080 for George. I think I got a couple of 974 gigs as well for various little flip builds and stuff. So yeah, he came around and I took about 7 or 8 graphics cards off him in one go. And I was like, oh, this is a painful amount of money. But they were cheap, so I think I paid like 150 for them or 140, something along those lines. So at the time they were selling on the used market for like 200 plus. So it's like, yeah, this is a pretty good deal. Good stuff. Firephone says audio's out of sync. Anyone else notice that? Or Andy Archer says good diagnosis today on the customer board with the CPU issue. Yeah, I missed that. What was the actual fault with it in the end?
It looks alright.
Oh. Thank you, Kath. In sync here. Okay, good. Thank you. Nick Barnes says, I can understand hoarding tech items as pay high, then upgrade and no value left. Derek Cannon, Ethan Mike Gaff, how long have you been resisting using the gives you wood line PSML? Yeah, it's been nice to actually be able to finally use it. Nicholas Barlow, good evening from the USA. How you doing over there? Videos in sync, audio in sync, excellent, thank you. Roderick's got an all snap. Yeah, I don't know what it is with the all snap thing. It's very strange. It seems to be only affecting live streams. Very rarely you'll get it on a pre-recorded video. So it is something, I've got it narrowed it down to the chat. So if you basically close down the chat window, it will never crash. But if the chat window's open, it seems to crash. It's very strange. Rasher says, I bought a Radeon HD 4890 in CX a few months ago for €15 as a ornament. That's pretty cool. Andy says he swapped the CPU out and updated the BIOS as it supported neither the lower or the upper tier CPU the customer tried. Alright, so it worked out okay in the end with the 5700X3D? Was that what he had? I think it was. Alright, he says, oh, I had an all snap. Oh dear. Firephone, Mike, what's your take on the Northbridge fix fiasco? To be completely honest with you, the first I heard about it was from what Adamant IT said, and I don't really know enough of it to comment. I get the gist of it being that Northbridge Fix was basically suggesting that there's a lot of YouTube Fix channels out there that are not achieving what he thinks they should be achieving in terms of sub count, which sub count, I've said this before many times, the sub count on YouTube means absolutely nothing. The only thing it actually does mean is for some brands to come and contact you, or for advertising or sponsorship money. In terms of your actual YouTube revenue, subscriber count means absolutely nothing, because it's all to do with views and view time. Watch time is the key metric. So if you have long form content and people watch the whole video, you will be earning significantly more than people who are doing 3, 4, 5 minute videos. Purely because the fact that YouTube can show more adverts and monitor your activities much better over a longer period of time. And they can work out what you like and what you dislike. And that data is valuable. So yeah, long form content always 100% pays better than short form content, even with the same amount of views. So longer videos are the way to go. Firephone says, for me, Mike is more relevant than Linus. I don't ever consider myself of having any relevancy whatsoever. I just do what I want to do, and if people like it, great. If they don't, they can watch something else. Buffering. Buffering? Am I buffering?
Not on mine.
Seems okay there. I'll keep an eye on it though. It's probably crashed. Matthew Day says many YouTubers call out that most viewers are not subscribed. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I think, well, there's a channel which I watch. Oh God, I can't even think what his name is now. There's a channel I watch, and yeah, the start of every video almost, he says, do me a favor, 90% of you aren't subscribers, so just click the subscribe button. And it's realistically, like, I think we've got probably somewhere in the region of about 10 to 15% of our subscription base are regular viewers. So we've got like 136,000 subs roughly, and we get the best part of 1 million views a month. So of that, 15% roughly are returning viewers. So 85% of our viewing people just watch a video and don't subscribe. That's absolutely fine. Just watch the videos. It's all good. Dan Mara says, what you just said is one reason why I enjoy your channel. It's true. It's like, I have no relevancy in the YouTube space at all. I just give you my opinion. Some of you may appreciate it. Some of you may agree. Some of you may disagree. Honestly, I don't care either way. It's fine. I'm doing what I want to do, and if you enjoy it as well, that's fantastic. And yeah, that's good. Joe G says, I watch nearly every video. Thank you. To be honest with you, I don't watch nearly every video that we do. And I'm in it. And Kath watches almost every video because she films it. But she ain't got a clue what I say half the time. A lot of the time she's there with her phone just looking up every now and then to make sure the camera's still recording. Trying to hold her eyes open with matchsticks. Oh, it's funny. Skystalker says, those are amazing numbers, Mike and Gaff. It's pretty good. I got no complaints. That's the fun thing. We've always had really good viewing figures. We've just had low subscriber count. And I said it doesn't... Like, I think back in the days when we only had about 8,000 subs, we were still, like, earning a decent amount of money. So it's like, I don't care. You could have 3 subs and you could earn millions. It's just a ridiculous thing.
I personally don't really believe YouTube's figures on it anyway, because I've seen likes and dislikes and stuff go up and down with your refresh pages.
Rasher says, come on Mike, tell us what we want to know. How much money are you making? If you can find out yourself, go to socialblade.com and put in Mike's Unboxing. And you can see, I think it overestimates it, but it's in the ballpark. Everyone's like, socialblade.com. you can do it for all the YouTube channels, so you can see what everyone else is. I think on Social Blade we're like I think we were a B plus or a B rated channel, so
we haven't been there for
I'm gonna have to check it actually. I haven't been there for a long time. I'm gonna have a look. Social Blade. Socialblade.com. Yeah, whatever. Type in Mike's Unboxing. I'm not sure if it comes up as Mike's Unboxing or I have to put the whole thing in. Mike's Unboxing, let's have a look. Verifying you're human. Barely. It's a Saturday. Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. There we go. Oh yeah, we're still a B. Actually, I'll put it on the chat. I'll put it on the screen so you can see it for yourselves. I've not read it all yet, but I'll show you anyway. Hopefully, oh no, that's not worked. Where are we? Stream desktop. Oh, display not connected. No, it's not because it's a new monitor. There we go. There we go. We don't hold anything back. So yeah, Social Blade ranking is total grade B. Estimated monthly earnings between £152 and 2.4k. And I would say that's not it's far off the truth. And yeah, views are down a little bit this month, so 994,635k. But yeah, if you want to check out your, that's not bad actually. Ranked 1,347th of the country. Nice. Anyway, you get the general idea. So, there you go. Make of that what you will. We could be in the upper range, we could be in the lower range. Hayden says that's a broad scope. It is. Which is the top UK YouTuber? I honestly don't know. I would imagine it's going to be some like influencer type who does. Actually, yeah, I don't really know. There is short. Oh, yeah, of course, yeah, it is a short month as well. So yeah, we get roughly about 60 to 70,000 views a day. Sorry, we get about 30 to 35,000 views a day, roughly. So yeah, if you added on another 3 days, that's about another 100,000. So yeah, it's about right. David Thompson says, never seen an influencer worth watching. It's, yeah, the term influencer or YouTuber is just like a very bizarre thing. I prefer the tag YouTuber, like I'm on YouTube, because that is a very wide thing. It's like you can get all sorts of people on YouTube. Basically, people who are sat there bursting spots to people who are conducting science experiments. So it's kind of, it's a pretty wide range. Mecha Cameron says, I was going to take the screen off this Chromebook until I discovered I can easily put Linux on it. Linux is pretty good.
Who's number one in the British? Dutch.
I don't know.
Dutch.
Firephone says, who will you influence? Well, technically, any of you watching, I kind of do have influence over, because if I recommend something which resonates with you and you buy it, I've influenced you to make that decision. So I guess there is some kind of legitimacy in the word influencer, but I would think that the majority of you watching hopefully have got enough kind of common sense and due diligence that anything I say you double check anyway, or triple check, and then make your own damn minds up. Oh, Peppa Pig. Peppa Pig's the official one.
Peppa Pig went on Good Morning
Yeah, did you
Apparently.
hear about that, Dad?
What?
Peppa Pig is now pregnant, and they did a big announcement on This Morning Britain.
I thought Peppa Pig's mum's pregnant.
Oh,
So
yeah,
she's having
that's the
another.
one.
So she's got
Not,
another.
yeah, not Peppa Pig.
Yeah. See, I know more about you. Oh man, why do I
thought
know?
Peppa Pig was the kid.
Why do I know more about Peppa Pig than my daughter? Something seriously wrong with
She
this
never
one.
watched that, did she?
Anyway,
She's too old.
let's move on from there. Actually, there was some deals this week. One of which I've actually got in my hands here, and I was going to try, but I realised that I don't have a long enough USB Type-C cable. I need at least a 5-meter USB-C cable to plug this in. So this is a webcam. These were originally 230 quid. This is from EPOS, which is basically a sub-brand of Sennheiser, you know, the people who make the headphones. And it is basically a 4K webcam. Comes in a nice little pouch with, bizarrely, a Walkman logo on it. Hopefully that's in shot. I don't know if you can see it on there, if I get the angle right. Yeah, it's got a Walkman logo on it for some bizarre reason. But comes with this tiny little webcam, which has got an absolutely awful flip out bit on the bottom to actually, do it from the side, that's fine. Does that extend out? No. It's got a crappy thing to sit on the top of your monitor, and it's got a mechanical shutter, so you can close off the lens with a mechanical shutter rather than an electrical shutter, which some people prefer. But apparently, the visual quality of this is excellent. But like I said, I've not been able to test it because I don't. Oh, actually, it does come with a USB cable, so maybe we can try it and see what it's actually like. Apparently, it's very, very wide, the angle of the camera, so we'll see what it's like. But it was actually 30 quid. 29.90 something. So 30 quid for a 4K webcam seems reasonable. That cable doesn't seem very long. I'll see if I've got another cable somewhere. I should have a longer cable. What's that one? Nope, that's shorter. I definitely need to order some longer cables. I'll have to do that tonight or tomorrow. The last lot I bought, I ended up putting on the on my desk. What's that there? What have I got? No. USB, that's 1.8 meters. How long is this one? That might be long enough. Oh God, breaking it. Oh no, that's not USB-C to USB-C. Balls. Right, I'm giving up on this idea because it's already causing me grief. But I will be doing a review on it. Apparently, from what I can tell, it's very similar to the Logitech Brio, which was a really good camera. The only thing this suffers with slightly is low light, and the noise cancelling on the microphone isn't great, which is kind of ironic if you think about it, seeing it's made by Sennheiser, who make headphones and audio equipment. Anyway. Let's chuck that back in there. I don't think this case is a very good idea because it's actually quite hard to get the cables in it. Not a lot of room. Bit of a pointless case, really. But for 30 quid for a 4K webcam, I don't think it's going to be too bad. But we will see. Oh, God, I don't want to go back in there now. Right. Let's just chuck that away. I can't back it up. There is another super chat from Mark Gaines. Again. £10 there. Just purchased a Gigabyte B650 EOS Stealth Ice. Nice. For my next build, it's going into a Corsair 2500X. Very nice. Is the Stealth X, is that a rear connect? Or is that a normal front connect board? There's so many different Gigabyte boards. And in fact, actually, very exciting news. Gigabyte UK have been in touch, and through a few other people. So thanks to the other person who probably will know who they are if they're listening, but they probably won't. So anyway, yeah, Gigabyte UK are on board. So we'll be getting some review samples from Gigabyte UK, which is awesome. Looking forward to that. It's always been one of those things that we don't, well, I don't feel personally that we represent a broad range of boards. as much as we could do. Now we have done some Gigabyte stuff, and very recently we've done a couple of Gigabyte boards and Gigabyte power supplies, which has been nice to see. But I've always kind of gravitated myself personally towards MSI, and to some extent Asus as well. Gigabyte is one of the ones which I don't see a lot of. Now, I have, completely honestly, I have issue with their motherboard control software, but of recent times, it has improved dramatically. So I'm very excited to start seeing some, maybe some older products and even some newer products coming through from Gigabyte. So do let us know if there's anything specifically you want to see on the channel. Obviously, we're still going to be trying keeping things to sensible levels, so not ridiculously expensive motherboards and not ridiculously expensive graphics cards, just kind of the normal everyday stuff that people are likely to buy, which I think makes more sense. And like, what is the point of me trying to review a £1,500 or £2,000 graphics card, which probably maybe one of you are going to buy? Like, some of you will find it interesting, but I find a lot of this stuff now actually offends me. So yeah, we're gonna keep things real, and hopefully you appreciate where I'm coming from with that. Viali says, I only use base US cables. Okay. YouTube was just closed due to insufficient memory. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I've tried doing it. If you have the chat on, if you have either live chat or top chat, it doesn't seem to make any difference at all. The only thing that I can see that makes a difference is if you turn the chat off, or if you do the pop-out chat window and have kind of half and half on your screen. That seems to be more reliable, because if by doing that now, if I look at my tab, well, actually, yeah, high memory usage, I'm up to 2.5 gigs already, so that's going to crash out very soon. I can't tell how much that one's using. So yeah, it was on 733 megabytes to start with, it's now at 2.5 gigs. So it's going to happen. Firephone says, Mike, best case with fans under £50. To be honest with you, I don't think there is a case which is worth buying with fans for under £50 at the present time. I would say you have to spend an extra £10 and get the Montec 903 Air. I don't think it can be bettered. It's very difficult to. If anyone else in the chat knows of a case for £50 with fans, which are decent, please do let us know. It's a very hard price point at the moment. With the manufacturing costs, with the import taxes, the cost of shipping is still very expensive. So round about £60, I think at the moment, is probably the minimum you can spend
Last week's case.
on a decent case with some longevity with fans. Now, the one that I did last week, which was the Hellcracks, the HCS 825, that's actually okay, but it has some downsides. It's 38 quid, so it's under your budget, but if you're looking at spending £50 plus, I would strongly suggest going with the Montec 903 Air. It's a very good case. Mark says, yes, it is a rear connect board. Awesome. Hence why you've gone for that Corsair case then, I guess. That sounds awesome. And Nick Barnes says, Hellcrack case, I hope, lol. If it's under £50, the Hellcrack case is worth a look. If it's over £50, there's got to be the Montec. There's probably one or two others as well which deserve honourable mentions. Things like the MSI, I'm trying to think of the model numbers now, they're so very similar. But there's quite a few MSI cases that come with 3 fans up front, the vampiric range. I think it's the 101 maybe, or the 100 or the 200, whatever. There's a few of those. Matthew Day says last week's case. That possibly as well. Mecha Cameron says, I love Windows, to be honest. Woohoo! We all love Windows. Windows is good. Nick Barnes says, I'm using video full screen and pop-out chat and crash twice. Yeah, drop in the resolution. Or, actually, I'm going to refresh my screen because I think it's going to crash shortly. I can normally tell when it's going to crash. And if you look at your hardware monitor, if you've got one on your PC, or you just listen to your fans, you'll hear them start ramping up. That's because your system is going, I can't breathe, I've got to crash something. let's crash the stream. Nick Barnes says, to be fair, the Montec 93 is massive as it's an EATX case. It is big. Yeah, there is that to it. Another one, actually, I suppose, honourable mention, Fantex P400, or any of the P range. There's quite a few which possibly will come in under that price. The Lian Li, some of the Lang Cool, is it 206 possibly, if it's on offer? That's really nice. The 216, 207, 217, all of those if you can get them. Dan Mars says, as soon as someone mentioned YouTube freezing, YouTube froze. Mishtech says P400 is end of life now. It probably is, but you still get them around every now and then. Skystalker says, I like the Series 300 case, 3 RGB fans, 89 Canadian dollars. See, that is a really good price. If you can get, like, 89 Canadian dollars is basically about £50, but there's no way on God's green earth that we'll get a Series 300 in the UK for 50 quid. Like, you might pick one up for 70 if you're lucky. So yeah, you got some really good prices on that.
Nick Barnes.
Nick Barnes, how do you check cache, Mike? What, as in the cache for the tabs? You just roll your mouse over the tab at the top and leave it there, and it'll show high memory usage. Oh, I'm on 3.2 gigabytes now, so I've raised another. I better refresh my Windows. Hang on. Let's do a refresh. And that should, hopefully. Is that reducing the RAM? Nope, 3.4 gigs. Yep, I might have to wait for it to crash. Rasher says, I've worked in the Windows business for 39 years now. Ba-boom. Mecha Cameron says, power supplies are cheaper in the UK, right? No, power supplies are awful prices in the UK. To be honest with you, a power supply now in the UK, a decent one, will cost you about the same as an entry-level processor. Which is mad. Matthew Day says, just checked Amazon. Last week's case is still $29.99, and the other 3 are $34.99, including a white one. Skystalker says, everything computer related is more expensive in the UK. It does seem that way. Yeah, we do get stiffed. And actually, that was something I was going to mention as well about the AMD graphics cards, like the 9070 and the 9070 XT. We were given the American prices when we watched the stream. UK prices at the moment I don't think have been official yet anywhere. And also, something which I didn't mention earlier, which I should have done actually, is the chances of actually seeing a MSRP card, or at least a decent one, for the MSRP is going to be very, very unlikely. I think personally, and from listening to other YouTube commentaries and what have you, yeah, most of them are going to be like £50 to £100 more at least. With, like, obviously you got your Asus models, they're going to be probably 200 quid more expensive because of the fancy coolers and stuff. You might, if you're very lucky, get to see an MSI Ventus X2, like a dual fan version. Zotac normally will do an entry level model, but yeah, it's normally not great. Obviously ASRock, if they're going to do one, I'm not sure if they're going to do one, but ASRock will have like the Challenger. That's their entry level. Those do look a bit cheap, so when you're spending sort of 500-600 quid on a graphics card, you do kind of want it to look quite nice, don't you? Like if you're buying a 200 quid or 150 quid or maybe 250, you can kind of go with it looking a little bit pants, but I think if you're spending a chunk of cash, you want it to look nice, don't you? And you at least want it to have 3 fans, so it's got a snowball's chance in hell of keeping the damn thing cool. But we'll see. I think because of the amount of cooling, because it's a 320 watt card, the XTX, sorry, the XT rather. So that's a lot of stuff that needs cooling. So realistically, it's probably going to be a 3 fan model across the board. So you might not get a Ventus X2, you might get a Ventus X3. Those are going to be a bit more expensive. We'll see. It's we've got a week to go now. So they are releasing officially on the 8th. So, I don't know. Is anyone planning on pre-ordering? Or are you going to wait for the reviews to come out? I am debating. I have got a 4070 Ti Super, which is brand spanking new in the box here, which I paid £660 for. I'm considering selling that to buy a 9070 XT, which I don't think is going to be as good as the 4070 Ti Super. But I don't know. But I am tempted to try it. Anyway, we'll see.
Free hugs.
Eh?
And the thing behind you is saying free hugs.
Oh, is it?
I think I was a bit behind.
What's my my tab up to now? Are we at 4 gigs yet? Oh no. Memory usage has gone down to 2 gigs now. And I've got 2 lots of top chat open. Oh, that should be live chat.
Snowing in Ohio.
Snowing in Ohio. Man, we're supposed to be getting a 600-mile thing of snow coming through the UK, which they've been promising every month now. Since November, they've been saying we are due this massive 100 and something mile long thing of snow, and then it's like 200 miles, then 300, 400, and now it's like whatever. Next thing it'll be like a 1,000-mile snow cloud due for the UK in May.
How big is the UK? Not much, it can't even be 1,000, is it?
Yeah, the UK. I'm not sure exactly, but it's probably. Actually, I don't know. How big is the UK?
How many miles long?
How long is the UK? How many miles? I guess it's about.
Maybe from
I think it's about
Scotland to
1,500. But I could be wrong.
What's the place in Scotland, John?
No, it must be less. It must be about 1,000 miles. Because you think from here to Devon is like 100 miles. So yeah, about 1,000 miles ish, I guess. How big is the UK? Don't know. Viali says, great idea, do it, Mike. Well, actually, I've got this card and it's been sat here since I bought it. I bought this. This was originally £760 from CCL. But there was the Christmas deals on, if you remember rightly, and they had this posted for £100 off. So it's like, that sounds like a good deal, because graphics cards are getting more expensive. So I bought this for £660, and I don't think I've even plugged this into a computer yet. I showed you guys it, I think, not long after it arrived, just to show you what it was, and it was a deal. But I've not used it. So I have been offered £600 for it, off of someone on the Discord. And yeah, maybe I'll take the £60 hit on it, so I can buy the 9070 XT. Which, I don't know if I'll get a nice model. Because this is actually quite a nice model, the Jetstream. Triple fan, nice and quiet and all that. So yeah, I don't know. I'll see. I've been deliberating about it in my head. I was almost tempted to just trade it in at CEX, but I think I'd rather someone actually get some use out of it rather than it just going into like the bowels of hell at CEX. Anyway.
Nick Warren says 11,000 miles and Drew Rouge says 580.
580 miles,
And
the UK?
The UK is 874 miles long.
Ah, right, by road. Okay, yeah, so, yeah, about 1,000 miles, like, if you take the B roads.
You get lost.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was more than 1,000.
Nick Byron says, why replace GPU if not used? That also is a very good question. I think it's just out of morbid curiosity. Because I've spent the money. So, realistically, even if I sell that card, I've got to pay tax on the earnings. So if I sell it for £600, I've got to pay best part of £150 in tax to the inland revenue. So that takes it down to 450 quid. So it's like, in some cases, it's better for me just to keep it and not pay taxes on it, on the earnings. But I do quite want to test it against the 9070 XT, which I think is probably I don't know. It's probably going to be swings and roundabouts. Because the 40s, yeah. The 5070 is, I think, what they're competing against, AMD. The 5070 Ti is faster, but the 4070 Ti Super is faster than the 5070. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be very similar. Who knows? I don't know. It's bizarre. Mecha Cameron says, I need to find a way to sell you guys PC parts at US prices. Yeah, that would be great. Aletta says 3 UKs would fit into the state of Texas. I know, it's bizarre, isn't it? And how the hell does a country this small hold so much kind of political weight in the world? I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's very strange. Paolo says Land's End to John O'Groats is 837 miles by road. Cool Cat says I got ripped off by CAX the other day. Bastards. Craig says swap you with my used 4060. I might not take that up. Thank you. Skystalker says, why would you pay tax on that card, Mike? You didn't earn 600 quid by selling it. You make the difference between what you paid and what you sell it for. Not quite, because of the way we do our taxes. So we do our taxes as like basically, at the end of the year, you get all of your income, all of your outgoings. You take off your outgoings from your income, and whatever's left, you pay tax on. So, working on the theory that you're actually going to make some profit, you will pay tax on it. And obviously, any profits, technically, like anything I buy, I can claim the tax back from, effectively, or it's kind of sort of tax-free, because it's a business expense. But then when I make any profits, those are expenses, so I have to pay tax on that. So you don't really win. It just depends which side of the line of your tax returns that you do things on. So if you do, basically you don't win. Unless you buy something and keep it for like 3 to 5 years, then you can write it off against taxes because it's kind of not relevant or it's not used or whatever. It's weird. There's various things.
You forgot about dropping your trousers and bending over for the tax man.
Oh yeah, bending over and dropping your trousers for the tax man. That is part and parcel of the whole experience. So, and the worst thing is nowadays for anyone who's self-employed in the UK, and also for big businesses as well, you don't just pay your taxes for the year that you just earned. You pay taxes for the 6 months that you haven't earned yet. So you pay your taxes in advance in the UK.
We were disgusted.
So it's like, okay, so we've just started doing YouTube full time. We're earning absolutely nothing. And you want us to pay next year's tax already as well.
A guesstimate.
And this is basically them working on like, well, this is how much you earn this year. So next year you should probably earn the same. So if you pay us basically half the tax that you paid last year again now, it means you're in good standing with us. It's like, no, I don't want to. Anyway, yeah, it's bizarre. Yeah, it's Sky says, yeah, okay, I get it, you pay the tax at a different point. Yeah, technically, you kind of like all the taxes it's a yearly thing. You can, if you want to, you could work it out on a daily, monthly, weekly basis if you want to, quarterly, whatever. The choice is yours, really, but ultimately you still have to pay X amount on a certain time. Yeah, we pay tax on basically everything we earn, which sucks.
1 year we're a bit late paying our stuff that we hadn't earned for.
Yeah. Yeah, we were late paying tax for the advance payment, and we got a fine. It's like
£67 a day.
Yeah.
Interest on what we hadn't earned.
Interest on money that we haven't earned or were liable for the tax on. Bizarre. Anyway. Rick H says, hey Mike, maybe Trump will buy the UK and make it the 51st state. Now that wouldn't be bad.
And also, we
could buy guns then.
It took about a month for that letter to get to us from the time they
Yeah.
signed it as well, didn't it? Didn't even use a first class stamp.
Right, I think we should get the case out, shouldn't we? I know I've been whittering on for way too long. Let's
We don't have
let's have a look.
TV license either.
We don't have a TV license. We don't have a TV really. Well, we do, but never yet used. Come on, Davey.
Oh, Davey, you'll make some funny noises.
Okay, we're gonna have a look at the case now. I've held it off for long enough. So
Your bed go on, Davey.
it comes in the classic Antec packaging. Very elaborate, as you can tell. Although I don't mind because it means you don't have to pay much extra for the packaging. Also, as well, I will say again, I've said it earlier, but massive shout out to the one and only Colin Hilton, who purchased this from Scan Computers in the UK, chucked it in his car and drove it down here for us. Bless him. I think he only does it so he can come and play with the cats. You should see him. He gets down on the carpet and he's there messing around with the cats, playing catch and all that. For anyone that knows Colin, you will know that I am joking, and that is not what he was doing. I kind of like the sound of it. It sounded kind of fun. I can imagine Colin on the floor playing around with the cats. Bless his heart. Right, let's try and get this thing out now without damaging anything important. And actually, where we got Patreon... Mark Walker, thank you very much for pledging $2 on Patreon.
Let's have some disco lights.
Just had a notice on come up on that. Thank you. Not sure what your name is on YouTube, but if I've just said something I shouldn't have, I do apologise. But thank you very much. Mark Walker. Bless your heart. Let's close that down. Sorry, just checking my phone. Right, let's get this case out and have a look. And see if this case gives you wood like it did me.
We're going to show us some wood light.
Oh, I just hit the top camera. I knew I was going to hit one or the other. Oh, here we go. Electric shock. Let's get out of the way. Ow, bastard. Oh, I got a good one the other day. I was taking the case out of the box and there's an overhead camera which is literally here, which is plugged into USB, and it's a metal frame on the camera. And I lifted it up, slid the box up, and as I did, I caught the back of my hand, like there, on the camera. And not only did it hurt the camera anyway, but also got the electric shock at the same time. It's like a double whammy. I was a bit upset about that. I did cuss. James Miscellaneous is in the house. How you doing, James Miscellaneous? Good to see you. James Miscellaneous says UK needs Doge or something similar to clean stuff up. Things just get worse. Little reset is in order. Yeah, actually, I know we don't really want to get involved in political stuff, but I kind of like some of the Doge stuff. I think there is a lot of wastage going on in the governments across the world. And yeah, I think it's about time that there was a little bit of a kickback. Anyway, right, there you go. So that is the Antec Flux White Edition with the lovely wooden birch surround. And also the Antec logo there, embossed into the bottom. Nice mesh front. And also, I'm not sure how well it's picking up on the camera. Yeah, if I move around, you can see it. So you can just about see in the shadows there. It's got kind of like a... It's not geometric. I'm not sure what you'd even call it. Almost like a wave effect. Yeah, almost like a wave effect on the front there. For allegedly, it helps with noise, because those slight changes in the profile help with turbulence, which I would have never thought of. So that's pretty cool. Move this camera out of the way a minute. See, there's some paperwork out there. What the hell is that? I'm sure that's something I should have done. What is that? Oh, it's the Wi-Fi thing I've got to do the video on, haven't I? I forgot about that.
Because you put it up there.
I don't know. I can't bloody move in here. Anyway, so to take the front panel off, sorry headphone users, I'll do it again. I think I've actually, oh no I haven't. There's a little grabby handle on the bottom, and all you need to do is very gently just pry off the front at the bottom, and it comes off very nicely. Very easy to clean. Well, the wood probably won't be, but the wood has actually got, I'm not sure if it has actually, it feels like it's got some sort of treatment on it. Not sure if it's going to focus very well, but it does appear to have some sort of treatment on it. I was going to spit on it and see if it absorbs it. No, it doesn't. It stays on the surface. So there is some sort of protective treatment on it, so you don't have to worry too much. Of course, you could always sand it if you wanted to anyway.
Can I get that case with mahogany?
You can get it with mahogany. I think it's mahogany anyway. There is a dark wood version. So it's black case with darker wood. You get 3 fans included. So these are the Antec P series fans, which they put in basically all their cases. Non-RGB. So for some people, they might be like, yay, no RGB, fantastic. Personally, I like RGB, but ultimately, if you want RGB, you can put RGB fans in there.
On your wood live on YouTube. Different websites for
I did just spit on my wood on YouTube. I just realised that, yeah.
And it's got varnish on, you can tell that.
It is a bit varnished. It doesn't feel glossy.
They haven't sanded it and re-varnished until it does then.
Yeah. Anyway, so 3 fans on the front, 120s. You can take those out and put 140s in. So in the front, you can put a 240 radiator. You can put 3 120 fans or 3 140mm fans. And also, you can install a 420mm radiator, which not many cases can these days. That is pretty much it for the front. Now, there's no dust filters other than the mesh on the front, which is reasonably porous. Let's see if I can get you a decent close-up on that so you can actually see it. I don't think you can. No. Well, you get the idea. It's quite a tight mesh, but there's enough of it and it's far enough away from the fans so it's not going to be overly restrictive. So yeah, that's the front panel. So let's take a look at the side panel. Side panel comes off pretty easily. There is a little twisty thumb screw at the back, which I forgot to tighten up because I was lazy. And to take the panel out, there's a little tab there. So you just pull the tab towards you, and that pops out. And it's held in place on the bottom by these little ledges. Hopefully you can just about see that. There's a ledge there, or an indentation there, which fits into the case at the bottom. So to put it back in, you kind of line the tabs up at the bottom and just push it closed, and it's nice and tight. Tighten up the thumb screw, and that's pretty much it. You're done. The glass has no tint to it whatsoever. Some people might like that, some people may not. Stick that in the case.
Answer Lord O's question. I've now spent an hour. It's a little bit off topic for the case, but
Lord O's, look for, if you just need 2 of those cables, where are they? Gigabyte do this, the UD 750 watt. These are on offer pretty much everywhere at the moment for about 60 quid. Gold rated, and it's got 2 PCI Express without having to have a pigtail. It's got 4 if you include the pigtails. Right, case wise.
Danny says I have the bigger brother of that case, the Flux Pro.
Yes, well, Colin actually offered to get us the Flux Pro, but I thought it was a bit too big and a bit too expensive. So you never know. We might see it at some point. We'll see. Okay. Anyway, so in the back, another 140mm fan rather than the 120s on the front. So taking up the full size at the back there, and on the bottom, looking a little bit lonely, I must say. Actually, let me turn this light around. Looking a little bit lonely in there. You've got a single reverse blade.
Worse,
It is actually worse, isn't it?
you were in the shadow of it.
Lighting in this room is awful. What did I do last time? I aimed it up at the ceiling, didn't I? Not sure if that's going to be any better or not. Don't think it is it? No, it's bloody awful. What's going on? Anyway, hopefully you can see reasonably well there. So yeah, you've got reverse action fan on the bottom. You can, if you want to, you can remove that and put a 140 in. And also the space above the power supply, you can put a 120 or a 140. A little bit redundant now, I think, personally. I would be tempted, for the sake of cleanliness, I would be tempted to remove that in its entirety and just ditch it. Because it's not going to be doing a great deal there. But you never know, it might do. Raj D says, hi, Mike, Kath, and all in chat. How you doing, Raj D? And thank you for being a member for 7 months. Thanking you. Good to see you in the chat. Yeah, so the reverse fan, to be fair, the ventilation on the bottom is the kind of circular. See if I'm going to move the camera now, so if you get seasickness or anything, just obviously to let you know. So if you look at the basement section, so you can see there's the reverse action fan. The holes in the bottom, they're round rather than being hexagonal. So a lot of that airflow is going to be blocked off. It still will pull up some air, but not as much as it would be if it's either open or hexagon. So it's actually not too bad. It will give you some airflow, but I think it just either needs to be sunken underneath, possibly, which might look nicer. So have it underneath, which you could do. There's plenty of room underneath. Yeah, I don't know. It just looks a little bit on its own there. Well, we've got the camera here. We'll have a quick look towards the front. So you have got a lot of room there. So if you want to do a radiator and a bit of push-pull action, you've got a double width slot there. So that'll be about 60 mil. So that'll take in a radiator and also fans if you wanted to retain the first ones at the front and still have a radiator, then some fans on the back as well. And again, you can have up to a 420 mil radiator stroke AIO. Actually, let's put the I'll put the camera back here a moment. So just to clarify for the radiator situation, just so I don't say anything incorrect. So if you put a 420 in the front, you can also have a 280 in the top. If you have a 360 in the front, you can also have a 360 in the top. The rear section, you can have a 120 or a 140. But if you do put a 420 in the front, because of it coming right up to the top, it doesn't give you the full width for a 360 in the top as well. Now, realistically, most people probably aren't going to put that in there anyway, but I just wanted to point it out, just in case you're thinking that you want to do that. I would say realistically, 360s are most likely going to be the best priced performance, so a 360 in the front, maybe a 360 in the top. This case could actually be my gateway into multiple radiator open loop cooling, which I have been meaning to try for a long time, and I do like the look of the new Antec water cooling equipment, which you can use both hard tubes and soft tubes with the same fittings. I quite like the look of those.
If you have more than one radiator, what happens to that thing you put on your processor?
That becomes just like a
feature fireplace.
No, you put a block on it, so you still run water through it. It just basically like a miniature radiator that goes on there and transfers the heat away.
Heat from what?
The processor.
No, but if you've got more than one in there, you've got one on your
Yeah, it just goes through, they loop together like in a house. Yeah, obviously rear connect motherboards are supported, so your Project Zeros, your BTFs. I can't think what the gigabyte version is of the pass-through connectors, but no doubt they do one. I think ASRock are bringing a few to the table as well. So yeah, it's pretty good. I'm going to move the camera again so you can have a bit of a closer look. Removable PCI Express brackets and no bars. So if you want to do vertical mounting, you can do. There's no vertical mount included, but obviously you can use one of these universal kits and that'll go in there quite nicely. And if we swing around a little bit more, there's actually rubber grommets in the bottom. So for cable management, you've got the rubber grommets there, which is nice, and there's rubber grommets up the side section also. When it comes to the top, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to show it particularly well, but there's a big gap between the top and where your motherboard is going to rest. So motherboard is going to come up to these pillars here, slightly over. There's like 60mm between the motherboard and the top, so if you want to put a radiator and fans in there, you have plenty of room to do so. And to show you one of the cool features, I'll put the camera back into the normal position there. Of course, well, if you've got any questions about this case while we're quickly going through it, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll get Kath to read them out, and then I'll go through it as we do. And in fact, I'm going to take my my jacket off a moment. So, that wasn't a sound effect. That was real. Sorry, I'm just a big child. Big child. Put my microphone back on a minute. Actually, I'll put the other light on as well so we can get some more light. Sorry, it's... that one's a bit amber. Sorry, just miking myself up. Right.
So, Jam, very unfortunate everything is prepared for 140mm and they put in 120mm fans.
Yeah, that is... For me personally, I think with this, I would put in... and it's likely I will do this, I would probably put in those, the Thermaltake Swafan EX 140s. Put 3 of those in the front. I'll put 2 of them on the base there in reverse mode, and 1 on the back. So I could buy 2 packs of these. So it comes in a 3-pack, so you've got 6 fans. That would be perfect. That is something I've seriously considered doing.
Nope, don't like it.
Viali, no worries. Right, the top panel just pops off. Just get your fingers under the ledge there, and you can pop it off. It's the same ventilation mesh that is on the front, and you've got your cutouts for your front panel connectivity. Look on the other side, it's all metal, and it's all actually quite rigid as well. So there's a little bit of flex into it, but not a great deal. And once it's actually in place, it's absolutely fine. But you've got little metal captive bars, barbs there.
Ashley loves the bottom rubber grommets if only for a stupid USB.
Yeah,
plug.
It's kind of nice. The grommets on the bottom are nice. If they come out though, they're a pain to put back in. Something which I like a lot about this is the fact that this top panel is completely removable. Actually, if I go and show you onto the overhead camera, which hopefully we'll see it a bit better.
Really, fan at the bottom I don't like.
Yeah, I don't like the fan at the bottom, to be honest. There we go. Right, we're in focus. So the top panel, actually, if I put I'll put the plate back over the top again so you can see what it would look like. So top panel, power button, reset button, combo headset mic jack, USB 3.0 Type A, USB 3.0 Type A, USB 3.2 by 2, I believe, for the Type C connector. I've still got to validate that because I've seen different reports. Some people say it's just a USB 3.2, so it could be a 5 gigabit per second, but I believe it's a 10 gigabit per second. But I need to validate that when I do a build on it. Anyway, little Flux logo on the top. It's kind of nice. So top support, obviously, like I said, 360mm rad. You can put in 140mm fans because you've got the extra gap there. I think 360 is probably ideal because that brings it over a little bit.
Right, when you're on that topic, would CPU radiator 280mm, say, mounted as exhaust in top be strong enough to cool CPU under load?
Yeah. Yeah, 280mm will be fine. I use a 280mm on my 13900K in a very similar sort of setup, and it was absolutely fine. Right, so to take the top off, there is screws, one each side. Oh. Not captive, clearly, he says, dropping it on the floor. So hopefully you can just see those coming out there. And all you do with this, if you want to get access, if you're doing work on the case, you can just flip it up. so it kind of, it's on a swivel almost. So if you just need to get into your EPS connector plugs, which might be in here, that's great.
Is the metal bit flimsy?
Or you can take this out. This bit is a bit flimsy, the top, because it's only a top mount, but when the chassis is taken out, it's pretty strong. There's a little bit of flex there, but I am flexing that more than I would normally. So, no, it's fine. The metal's pretty decent overall. But of course, with that top out of the way, if you're doing any work inside the case, it makes life a lot easier to get to things like your EPS connectors up here, your I/O, whatever it is you're doing. Just taking out that top panel does make a massive difference, I think, personally. Sorry, I'll get this lined up so you can see it.
Front I/O right in place again.
Yeah, the front panel I/O in the top is a little bit, I don't know, I think they're still in the mind that PC cases should be on the floor, when most of us are kind of very firmly aware that you shouldn't put a case on the floor at all, because it's very bad for dust. Although good for temperatures, because obviously heat rises, so the coldest part of your room is generally the floor, or the floor level. And as you go towards the desk level, it's medium, because that's where your body is and you get all the heat rising. Obviously, if you put your PC up on a plinth or on the wall, that's probably the worst place you can put it, because all the heat generates at the top. So, yeah.
Rick says, Mike is flexing. Or are you fluxing?
I am fluxing today. So, there you go. That's the top panel and all the removable sections. We'll take a look in the back. Actually, I can flip that round there. That's probably easier, isn't it? Can you still see that? Yeah, that's good. So obviously the back, same deal for taking off the back panel. Well, actually, I might as well do that while I'm here. So that just pops off. And it doesn't fit in the box because it's too big. So rear I/O, obviously, the fan's got a little bit of lateral, is that lateral, up and down? Horizontal, lateral, whatever. You can move the fan up and down a bit if you want to. Lots of airflow, and you've got the removable brackets, power supply basement section. And actually, let's take a look at the filters on the bottom. Something else I think they've done particularly well, the filter pulls out from the front, so you'll have to trust me on that. That is the front. I'll flip that around, you can see that's the front. So the pit, that just comes out towards the front, so giving you nice easy access, or if you want to take it out to clean it, give it a run under the tap or something. And actually the runners, they got runners underneath the feet, which I'm not sure if that's going to pick up well on camera or not. I don't think it is actually. You can just about see it, but there's basically runners under the feet, and also there's metal clips on the side, so you can put it in and out relatively easily. So even if you can't see, slides along and locks into place quite nicely. You can also remove the drive cage, 2 screws. Drive cage can move forward and backwards. Pretty standard stuff. I personally would like to see the feet to be a little bit bigger. Luckily with this, because there's, yeah, luckily with this, because they are screwed in, potentially if you want to get clever with a 3D printer, you could print some slightly higher feet. But there's a lot of open ventilation there. You've got obviously all the vents there, so airflow underneath isn't going to be too much of a consideration. Power supply is going to get plenty of air through that, so yeah, you got no worries there. Let's go down to the bottom. I'm not sure how much of that can we see. Move that up. There we go. It's just slightly out of shot, but that should be enough. So where should we start? So top corner, you got the 5-port PWM and ARGB headers. So that's a built-in fan hub, which is kind of nice. Obviously all the RGB ones are completely open to use if you want to, because there's no RGB in this. They've got the clever cable management system, so all of this just got these little plastic bars which you can just pry out the way, so that's nice. And to power up the hub, you've got SATA and also you've got your 4-pin PWM and your 3-pin 5-volt addressable RGB, so you can run all that through. Also the cable for the fan at the bottom is also run through there as well, so you can just tuck all those wires in nice and easily, he says. I like that. That's something which Thermaltake have done a lot on their new tower range, and I like it in those, and I like it in these. Rear connect motherboard support, as we said already. Grommets for passing your cables through. Got another 2.5-inch drive mount there, removable on a thumb screw. So if you want to, if you've got like limited access or whatever, you need some extra room, you could always remove that if you wanted to, or put a drive in there, or maybe like some sort of fan controller. I don't know, whatever you want to put. Loads of tie down points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I think. So 10 tie down points, which is more than enough. And also you've got this very nice cable management rack. So all on Velcro. And at the moment they've got the front panel I/O all channeled down through there. And then obviously leaving this side section for your power supply, or maybe I don't know, whatever else. Power cable, I guess, is going to be the kind of predominant one on there. That's okay. The only thing else I would like to see is these cables being a bit longer for the fans on the front, because they're kind of stretching over a little bit, but yeah, it's absolutely fine. So yeah, lots of nice cable management features there. In this case, it's only 100 quid as well. I know say only 100 quid, but these days, like 100 quid is basically like 80 quid last year in terms of inflationary pricing. So it's actually, you do get quite a lot for your money. Now, I guess the fans themselves are worth, I don't know, arguably, if you're being kind about it, I would say the fans are worth like a £5 each. They're not the greatest fans in the world, but they do have a value. AliExpress or something, you could pick up the fans, 5 quid a pop, relatively easily. So you got like 25 quid worth of fans in there maybe. So if you take that off the price of the case, takes it down to like 75 quid from 100. 75 quid's worth of case, yeah, definitely. You got the little section down here for putting in your hard drive, so that'll take a 3.5-inch or a 2.5-inch. David Underhill come in there with a $2 Aussie dollars super chat.
Oh, I can't do that. So that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, where's my mouse gone? Thank you very much, David Underhill. Origado. Is that the right word? Origado? What does that mean?
Origami.
I've heard that somewhere.
I've done everything. I'm getting.
Yeah. Thank you, mate. It comes with this in the box. A little flux thing talking about Birch and its characteristics. A little bit pointless, but kind of like a nice touch, I think, personally. So yeah, it's pretty nice. Accessories bag.
Nice touch on the wood.
Nice touch of wood. You get the get some cable ties. You get the screws. Extra set of screws for mounting fans in the front. On the actual basement section. Yeah, it's all pretty much thought out. You've got some little rubber pads there for the hard disk drive mounting, just to absorb any vibrations. You've also got USB, like I said, front panel, 2 USB Type A's, USB 3. You've got your HD audio, little bit of Fisher Price going on there, not a lot, and you've got your USB-C. The bizarre thing is front panel connections. You only got a power button and a reset switch. There's no hard drive LED and there's no power LED. Now I personally would like to see a power LED and also maybe a hard drive LED, because how many times have you been waiting on Windows Update to update itself and you're just like hanging there waiting to turn the PC off, and you're waiting for that hard drive LED to stop flashing so you can turn your PC off because you know it's safe to do so. The fan hub is a little bit on the small side. I would have liked to have seen an extra 4 ports. Dutch Jan, yeah.
Asking, he was telling.
No, I agree. The fan hub should really have more connections on it.
€130 in Germany.
€130, wow. Is that the Flux or the Flux Pro? because there is a little bit of a difference between the two in terms of pricing and dimension. And quite often I was searching for the Flux and it came up with the Flux Pro instead. The rear panel didn't really show it much, but you've got the ventilation in the bottom section there as well. And that just clips on.
No power and HDD is ridiculous.
It is a little bit bizarre. Yeah, not having a power LED or the other one, hard drive LED or power LED, is a little bit bizarre. Especially being that this is a case that doesn't have any RGB lighting. Because normally you kind of know if your PC's on or off because the RGB is blowing your eyeballs out. But with this, you wouldn't know, would you?
Not mine.
So yeah, it is a little bit strange. We'll stick that back in there. And pop this down on the deck. Oh, I think I just scratched the table. Yep, table is definitely stronger than the case. The case is stronger than that. Thank you, David. Good morning from Australia. Come and say good day, as the old slogan used to go.
Sorry if I didn't say hi to David.
Kath, you're a horrible bastard. Put that back on. Oh, actually, before I do that, something else I forgot to show you.
I shouldn't balance that there without eating cats.
I was there for hours.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
You got it inside the box.
If you want to take off the bottom grill, if you want to get access to your hard drives or your power supply because you forgot to plug in one of your PSU connections, you can just undo that and remove that as well. So it's pretty modular. Got all that access in there, and this considering that's just actually that's bloody strong. I wasn't expecting that to be as strong as that. That is very, very strong. So yeah, that's kind of like a nice little touch, I think, personally.
On the wood.
Nice touch of wood. I think an extra little bit of wood in here somewhere would have been nice. Like maybe a strip along the side or something along the PSU basement. That is the beauty of it though, because it is birch. You can, if you want to, go and find some birch in the woods and chop it up and stick it in your case. If you wanted to. Put the front panel back on. That just pops into place. Thumb screws at the ready. Yeah, put a picture frame from IKEA in there of a graphics card which you cannot possibly afford. I think that's the good idea actually, Kath. I think you've nailed it. And there we go. So yeah, that was a good idea, Kath said there. So yeah, go to your local IKEA, grab yourself a little photo frame and put a picture of a graphics card that you're never going to be able to afford in there.
But you can tell people you've got that in your PC.
Yeah, stick an APU in there and a picture of a graphics card which doesn't go in there. That's a good idea. So yeah, overall, I quite like this case. I think it's actually, probably for the money and for the feature set, it is probably, I think, arguably the best case on the market for the money.
Flux Pro is €220 in Germany.
Mother flipper, that's expensive. That's a lot of money. But yeah, there's something about this case which I really like. There's not one thing that stands out and I go, wow, that's amazing. But there actually isn't anything in there which I go, wow, that's stupid. Because in terms of the feature set and what it's got, it's basically got everything. So decent airflow front, check. Easy access front panel, check. Up to 420mm radiator on the front, check. Options for fans. There's nothing actually behind the fans either, so there's no restrictive airflow. So again, that's another really nice thing. You've got 360mm rad support on the top, loads of clearance between the motherboard and the radiator. You've got removable PCI Express banking plates and also no bars. You've also got full-length filter on the bottom. You've also got the option to put reverse fans in the basement section. You've got a quick release top panel and also the removable top plate as well for installing your radiators. Cable management is pretty much about the best you could get, and it doesn't look offensive. There's nothing that you could say about this case in terms of its design which is offensive.
the alley.
It may not be down to your taste, but I don't think it would be a case that would offend anybody. You could put this into a gamer setup, you could put this into a streamer setup, you could put this into an office setup. And because it hasn't got the RGB, it's not going to piss anybody off. And in fact, if it's in a design place, someone's probably going to come along and say, oh, you've got some birch there. You have wood. They won't, but you never know. I think it's a good case. I genuinely do. Which actually pains me to say after the experiences we've had with Antec recently. I really, really wanted to be able to slate this case, but I can't. And that is part and parcel of what we do and how we do it. I'm not going to slag off something just because we got some kind of beef going on with the manufacturer. In fact, we were the same with MSI. When MSI were going through all that beef or all that stress with the sculpting GPUs or trying to influence reviewers and stuff, we just carried on and looked at products on their merits rather than the company behind them. And that's something which I've almost always tried to do. There's some instances where, no, you have to really make a stand. But in general, I think you should make buying decisions based on practicality rather than emotions. Because emotions, yeah, they get you so far, but ultimately they are just emotions and they can soon wear off or change. Whereas practicality generally stays the same. Yes, Kath?
Too much wooden beef talk here. And that is Welly Bob and Nick Barnes asked, how would you compare this Antec with your Series 500, which is £79 on Amazon?
Yeah, that is what I was going to come up to next. Actually, I want to move this along a bit. So, is that in the way of the case? No. Okay, that's it. So you can see both now. I can't see it.
I know.
That was something I mentioned. I've actually done the kind of the long format review of this already, and that is something which I said at the end of the video. So the only other case on the market at the moment that I know of that has all of the same features pretty much, give or take, and the same amount of flexibility, the 420 radiator, loads of room to work, easy access, yada yada yada, cable management, etc., is the Series 500, which is there. Now there's parts of the Series 500 which I still look at and I think, yeah, I really like that. There's some things I dislike. I dislike the front panel. The scoop on the front I don't think was necessary. It should have just been an elongated shape to the front. And like daft little things like the handle for opening up the glass was a little bit on the crap side personally, but it does what it needs to do. It's got really good airflow and it comes with RGB fans. Now, if you can get the Series 500 for, what did you say, 80 quid? Was that, did you say 80 quid?
79, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, if the Series 500 is 79 quid with two 140mm RGB fans and a non-RGB on the back, I think. No, sorry, no, I tell a lie. It comes with 3 on the front, 3 140s on the front, and 1 140 in the back. So yeah, the Series 500 at 80 quid beats it all day long because it's 20 quid cheaper.
And the I/O is on the side.
And yeah, I/O on the side, which in this instance I love because it's very handy for me, especially when I'm doing boss flashback videos because I can just plug it into the side without having to scrabble around it there. So yeah, the only thing it misses out on, it doesn't have a removable top section, although it is partially removable. Arguably, the cosmetics and the look and design and stuff, that is very much down to the individual. If you like the look of one over the other, then yeah, whatever. But yeah, realistically, there isn't a lot between them in terms of features and functionality. The only the front air filter on the Series is basically the same as well, so front mounted, pull out. It's got the same sort of access on the side. They are very similar cases overall. I only wish that they did a Series 550 or 500MX, which had the rear connect motherboard support and the unified color across the entire design, which they did with the Series 300 when the 330 came out. Anyway, I'm wittering on now. But yeah, essentially, I think for £100, if you can get it for £100, it's a very, very good deal. and you do get an awful lot for your money. But like with anything, if there's special offers on, like I think the Series 500 originally was like 120, maybe, or closer to 100 anyway. The fact that it's been out for a while and now it's dropped down to 80 quid, that's a steal. Like 80 quid for that case, I would buy those all day long. Even though I've got one already, I would buy another one at that money because it just makes a lot of sense, especially like with 3 140mm ARGB fans, which on their own, they retail for best part of, I think, 25 quid, 30 quid. So you're getting 4 of those in an 80 quid case. That's nuts. It doesn't have an RGB controller though, or a hub. So that is a little bit of a downside. This one hasn't got a controller, sorry. This has only got a hub. I should clarify that. Arguably, I think the design of this is maybe slightly nicer. I don't know. Again, it's very subjective. It always is with these types of things. But yeah, I like it. It's different as well, but different in a nice way with the wood accent on there. I think it's pretty good. Anyway, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to put this to one side a minute and I will attempt to put it down without breaking it. It's not actually that heavy. And it isn't massive either. So it can fit, even though it will support an eATX motherboard, it isn't huge, which is pretty good. Right, let's pull the screen in a bit so I can see it a bit better. Let's see if there's any questions. Antec Flux is 149 USD, AUD, so it's about 80 quid. Yeah, that's better. We always get screwed over here in the UK for prices. Nick Byron says, yes, it's on Amazon for $79.99, including 4 fans. Wow. If the Series 500 is something that you're interested in, for 80 quid, that's amazing. It really is. Dutch Jan says, sorry, but I think it's just an ordinary case with some wood glued to it. It's not really ordinary. I guess I know what you mean. It's, in terms of its design language, it is very much that kind of tried and tested rectangular box with certain things. But things like the removable top panel for the radiator, the removable front panel for the basement section, the easy access to the fans, all that kind of stuff, all of it mounts up, I think, to give you what is a really nice overall cohesive experience, because even things like the ventilation, all of the ventilation on there is circles. You get a lot of cases these days where you got circles in some places, then you got hexagon mesh in others, and you think to yourself, well, why don't I just do one all through? There's little things like that which do annoy me. I would have preferred to have hexagon mesh across the board on that, but they haven't done that. But anyway, I get what you mean. Hayden Trent says, I'd rather get the Fantex G400A for £85. I must admit, I don't think I've seen the G400A. Is that a revision of the P400? That might be one I need to look at. Craig MCM says, sorry, back to PC case, love the wood on front, would prefer a black case. Well, they do a black version of it. If you look at the thumbnail of the video, there's the black version and the white version. Obviously, we only got the white version, but the black version is available if you wanted to. Yeah, quite a lot of people are saying about Fantex. We haven't had a Fantex case on the channel for a very long time. It's got to be about 3 years, if not more. So maybe we'll change that. Let me write that down. Actually, Kath, can you write it down on your bit of paper? So,
a bit of paper. I'd get a piece of paper.
We'll try the Fantex G400A.
Fantex.
Fantex G400A. Danmar 007 says, checking the 500 is twice the price of the 300 and much more expensive than the Flux. Yeah, okay, down to regional differences. That's why I was surprised, because the Series 500 is normally quite expensive, like £100 plus. Marutu says, where does the flux capacitor go? Yeah, I wanted to make a joke about that, or put it in the thumbnail with a flux capacitor inside, but I thought, no, there's only going to be a certain amount of people that will get that. Viali 100 says, I prefer my case for 150. What case have you got?
Who's that?
Viali.
Oh. Why do you only review white cases?
Funnily enough, I don't. White cases are very easy to film because obviously black is just like the light just disappears and it's very hard to see anything inside. When white cases come out, we were generally offered, like from the manufacturers, they'd be like, well, do you want the black version or the white version? It's like, man, we've been filming black cases for years now. Let's have a white case. It makes life so much easier because you can see the subtle differences inside. But we have done a lot of black cases. In fact, even recently we've done ones which have been black and white. But we have got another Antec case coming up very shortly, which is the Antec C5, which we have got in black because I wanted to see another black case. So we have got some black cases coming up. So yeah, there's no casual racism going on here. Susan Robbins says that is a nice case. It will look good with those SWAT fans in it. I hope it will. I think it should do. Irie Wolfman says wait until you get a splinter from the case. I got a splinter from one the other day, but a metal splinter. That's the first time in ages. What case was that I was doing? Was that the C3?
It might. Well, we haven't done a case. Well.
Yeah, it must have been. No, actually, it might have been the C3, or it might have been that Hellcracks.
Yeah.
It might have been Hellcracks. Yeah, got a metal splinter from a case.
I guessed it better and it was alright, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Havies.
I'm just reading down through the chat there. Right, I won't be doing a review of the 6600 XT because I don't think they actually make a great deal of sense price-wise because they're about 5% faster than the 6600 and those are getting harder to come by. So I don't think that's going to happen. If I manage to get hold of one cheaply, then I will do. And low-profile coolers from ID Cooling. The thing is with ID Cooling, I've done a couple, but the prices seem to have gone up dramatically in terms of what is the kind of the equivalent from Thermalright. So yeah, I would like to be able to do more ID Cooling, but in terms of the price to performance of basically what is essentially the same cooler, the Thermalright ones do seem to be much better. But I will take the comment on board and I will keep a lookout for both of those items, and if I can do any unboxings and reviews, we will definitely do that. James says, any thoughts to a letter on the 9070 XT? Viali's got the light base 900. Oh, that thing's huge. You must live in America. We've got lots of room.
It doesn't.
I don't know where he lives actually.
You do.
Do I?
He won our cooler, didn't he?
That wasn't Viali, was it?
Pretty sure.
Maybe it was. I get confused. Names on Discord and names in the real world, I get confused.
I'm good with names, you're good with faces. Between us, we can recognise people.
Nick Barnes says, Mike, when you said 2 AIOs in the Antec case, did you mean for GPU and CPU cooling? Well, yeah, you could do that if you wanted to. Depends. Yeah, you could have a GPU with AIO, or you could just have 2 radiators. And there used to be brands that you could daisy chain radiators. I think it was Fractal that did it, and you could buy basically add-on kits so you could daisy chain radiators to elongate them. Cool, that was a while back. When does the wooden fan come out? Wood is so much faster than RGB. I like that. All other PC builders have had cutouts from razor blade back out. Yeah, that's right, true. Yeah, I think the worst one I ever saw was a guy I worked with, Carl. He's been in the chat a few times, and he had, well, we worked for a company called M Squared or M2, which was in Bristol, which was a pretty decent shop to be fair. And we bought in a bunch of these cases. I'm trying to think of what the case was called. I had like a a weird sort of teardrop front to it. And yeah, they have this release mechanism for the hard drive cage on the bottom. But this was early 2000s, so like back then, rounded corners and stuff weren't so much of a thing. It was all quite bright, sharp edges. But yeah, these drive cages had a little clip and they were bastards to get in and out. And Carl pulled it and literally kind of like sliced the glove of his finger off almost. Oh my goodness. Horrendous. I think that's the worst incident I've seen on a case. He had a lot of stitches. Luckily, those days are past now. We don't get that so much. Thanos is in the chat. How you doing, Thanos?
Alan said he did win them.
Ah, right, yeah. Danmar007 says, Jay's 2 cents checked out the Be Quiet's new serviceable AIO. To be honest with you, he is very, very behind the times and lacking knowledge in some areas. Quite often I find this. Be Quiet's radiators have been serviceable for the last 5 years. Maybe more. Be Quiet, in fact, we did a review on the Be Quiet, I can't even think what model it was now. It was a 240mm AIO and it came with a bottle of coolant. So if you needed to top it up or whatever, you could do. So yeah, they've been serviceable for quite a long time. It had a fill port and everything. But yeah, I guess he looks at things, well, he's into water cooling, isn't he? Like custom water cooling. So he probably doesn't realise that was a thing. I think there was another brand that did refillable ones as well, or at least had service ports. Most of the AIOs on the market have a service fill port, but normally it's got like a little sticker over it saying void if removed, but pretty much most of them have. Right, the 6600 XT is the only Radeon graphics card in Indonesia that has near normal prices in used markets. If it's the only one in the market which has near normal prices, just buy it. Because if the others are abnormal pricing, then like that answers your, well, that gives you your answer straight away, doesn't it? But the 6600 XT is basically about 5, maybe 10% faster than the RX 6600, which is basically kind of similar in some instances to the 1080, to give you an idea of like performance wise.
Has that gone too dark now, is that right?
I think that's probably okay. Firestorm says, I have RX 7800 XT. Is it worth upgrading to a 9070 XT? I'm on the fence. I'm waiting for FPS numbers. Firestorm? Although I've already said it. Oh, I haven't really, but I've mentioned it. I was considering selling this to get the 9070 XT, but I'm also considering selling this to get the 9070, because I think the 9070 will probably be not hugely faster than this. So the 9070 XT is about 25% faster than the 7900 GRE. Now the 7900 GRE was a cut down version of the 7090 XT. The 7800 XT, 7800 XT was a little bit slower than the GRE. So yeah, it's a very difficult market at the moment to gauge it, and a lot of the time it's going to come down to the games you're playing. So if there is a specific game you play which is somewhat AMD optimized, so things like your Battlefield, your oh god, what was it? I was looking at it today earlier. There's a number of games which are basically play better on AMD cards because they're optimized for it. Likewise, there's games which are optimized for NVIDIA cards. So if you're someone who plays on games which tend to be more AMD based anyway, you're probably better off getting an AMD card than an NVIDIA one. So if you're on the fence for that, that is basically where you go. But yeah, in terms of benchmarks, they're going to be all over the place. There's going to be some titles which are going to be like 25% faster. there's going to be some titles at the bottom end which are going to be 25% slower. So it's hard to say that one card is going to be specifically better for an individual without looking at the specific games. For things like that, obviously, Hardware Unboxed, when they do their, oh god, sorry, that's annoying me. When Hardware Unboxed does their like 50 game average, that's a really good one to watch out for, because you can look through, see if it's playing some of the games you like playing. You can make up your choices very easily. I think the 7800 XT is worth keeping hold of because it's devalued quite considerably. Like, I bought this card when they were starting to go down, and I got this for, well, not for long after it came out, but it was still reduced slightly. I think I paid $469, or it was close to 500 quid. And at the time I was like, ugh. But then the 4070 Supers were like 550 or 600 and climbing, and you couldn't get them. So it's like, this is basically the same as or similar to a 4070 stroke 4070 Super, depending on what games you're playing. So this also has more RAM as well than a 4070, so there is that. But now you can pick these up when they're on offer for about $420 sometimes, maybe $430. $450 is not unheard of. $470, $480 pretty easily. So it's kind of devalued quite a bit. So whether or not if it'd be worth selling a 7800 XT in order to get a 9070 or 9070 XT is debatable. Again, what I said a little bit earlier on, if for some reason there is a graphics card that is at the MSRP, at the 549 or the 599 for the respective models, I think they're going to be pretty low end models. So depending on what you get or what you've got, you're probably going to be looking at spending closer to £700 for the XT version, and probably closer to 600, maybe 650 for the others. So yeah, it's a really difficult one to fathom at the moment, and especially if you're on already a pretty decent tier card. I would say realistically, if you're on a 7800 XT, 7900 GRE, 4070, 4070 Super, any of those type of level of cards, it's not really worth upgrading because you're probably not going to see a huge amount of benefit. Realistically, you might see a couple of frames per second. You will, of course, get some benefit out of FSR 4, which is at the moment only going to be for the 90 series cards. So if you're into your fake frames and you want to play 4K, maybe that is worth looking at. There are going to be ways to fudge FSR 4 onto older cards. It's just a matter of time. So I wouldn't make a decision based on frame generation or FSR 4. That's a little bit pointless, I think, personally, but I don't know. Yeah, it's very interesting times. I think, yeah, like Aletta said, if like she's on a 6900 XT, she paid about $500 for it. Like, that isn't really worth upgrading either, because you're not going to see a significant boost in performance. You might see a better performance in terms of the power requirements, because the 6900 range, we're a little bit thirsty on the power. But other than that, in terms of pure rasterization performance, you're probably not going to see a great deal between it. Yes, Kath?
PC 2022.
PC 2022. Hey Mike, 3080 10 gig to 9070 XT. What percentage increase do you speculate? 3080 10 gig. Now that's a tough one. And also, the 3080 10 gig is actually getting really good money at the moment. So you are in a very good position. Excuse me, where's my drink gone? Oh, there it is.
I'll catch up to you both when you've finished.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have a look. Yeah, the 3080. I've actually just bought a 3070 to go into a flip build, and I don't think it's going to be very powerful. I think a 3080 10 gig up to a 9070 XT would be a meaningful upgrade, and I would expect, I'm trying to think, I haven't used a 3080 in such a long time. So 3010, so that's going to be roughly, 3080 10 gig is about the same as the original 4070, maybe the 4060 Ti. So you should see a good getting on towards 50% improvement, I would have thought, in some games. Again, as with anything, it's where's my bloody mouse gone? There it is. It's always hard, like depending on what the game is. If it's an AMD title, it's going to get much better results. If you're playing mostly NVIDIA titles, it's probably not going to be that noticeable, especially with ray tracing. Again, we don't know how good ray tracing is going to be, whether or not it needs to have FSR4, in which case you're going to have games that support it, blah, 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 blah. It's a tricky decision.
Patrick to the
above. Patrick T. Where is Patrick T? Oh, no, Patrick T. Patrick T says he's currently using a Radeon 7800 XT OC, 16 gig, nice. Ryzen 7 7700X, good stuff. 750 watt power supply. Would it be worth upgrading to a 9070 XT in the future? Probably not. I think that's pretty much just the same as what I asked before. The 7800 XT, moving from that up to a GRE, and then the GRE to the whatever, which is what it's kind of a little bit better than, you're probably going to see a little improvement. But it's going to be one of those things where it isn't going to be night and day. You're not going to put a 9070 XT into a system with a 7800 XT and be like blown away. You're definitely going to be looking at the frame rates increasing, but you will have to have the frame rate counters on screen to notice the difference. The only thing you might find is if like you're at 4K resolution, you might go from like maybe medium to high in some games. So you might get a bit more graphical fidelity. It's easy for me to say. But yeah, I don't envisage it being a huge gap. The thing is, most times graphics cards between the individual families, even like a 7800 to XT, and the same with like the 6600 to the XT, is normally about 5% improvement. So generationally, 5 to 10% between them. So yeah, you might get a 20 to 25% improvement, I guess. It's hard to gauge. Until we see actual benchmarks, at the moment we're relying on what AMD are saying and the first party benchmarks, which always are taken very much with a pinch of salt because you don't know what's going on. Although saying that, AMD do seem to have been pretty honest and legit, showing the difference between native and upscaled. Other manufacturers haven't been quite so open and have been slightly misleading, but we'll see. I noticed someone said just now, I can't remember where I saw it, but they said about the pricing, whether or not we'll get the same pricing. Yeah, we get a sales tax, so 25% or 20% sales tax, VAT, is normally added onto prices. So if it's, argument's sake, $600 is roughly, I think, well, it's about 75 to 80p per dollar. So if you take about 20% off, so 20% is about, where are we? 120, about 80 quid. So in theory, the 9070 XT should be costing us in the UK somewhere around about the kind of £530 mark, maybe 540, but it won't. It'll be 600 quid, if not more. So it's yeah, we get stiffed a little bit. Sucks. So you got VAT, plus obviously manufacturers and retailers are going to be going, oh, tariffs, everything's more expensive, there's inflation. Like at the moment in the UK, we are experiencing roughly somewhere between 2 to 5% inflation per month increase. So over the period of a year, so 12 months in a year, we're looking about a 25% less we can buy, or 25% less purchasing power with the same amount of money we had last year. So things are getting more expensive, which is getting a bit out of hand. Ashley Strachan says, is it FSR4 that's only going to be available on the new AMD GPUs? So maybe that's a reason to upgrade. If any games are using it. FSR 3 pretty much non-existent even now, speaking as an AMD owner. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I don't like frame generation and I don't like upscaling. I try wherever possible to play native resolution, especially if it's like a offline game. So things like Robocop, Rogue City, been playing that recently. Definitely no scaling on that because it's just a cinematic game. So you want to see it in its full glory. And don't get me wrong, my eyesight isn't the best, and probably if I watched it with frame generation because it supports it, or scaling, I probably wouldn't notice it, to be honest with you. But I don't know, there's just something that, maybe it's because I've been using computers for so long that I'm so used to games being their native resolution, or if they run like shit, turning the resolution down. Now we have the resolution to kind of upscale or downscale or whatever. I don't know, it just makes it really confusing as well, especially for like comparison graphics cards. Like if you've only got maybe 5 to 10% between a graphics card family, then that is less than what you'd get an increase if you turned on frame generation or upscaling. So essentially all cards are the same because you can just change the resolution to fit your FPS, which makes it really hard. So that's why game reviewers or reviewers now test all their games at like 4K Ultra, because like that's the most it can do, or realistically that's the most that people are going to want to do. But who really plays games at 4K Ultra? And most graphics cards will perform completely differently at 4K than they would at 1440p or 1080p. So it's a really difficult thing to get your head around these days. Ultimately, it's just like, think of how much money you have to spend. Look at the games you play. Are they NVIDIA titles? Are they AMD titles? Are they weirdly Intel titles? Yes, they do exist. And just buy your graphics card based on that, really, what you can afford and what suits your particular gaming style. Or if you're a content creator and you do a bit of both, a bit of gaming, and you also do productivity stuff as well, then just look at whatever cards you are available and make a decision. If you're using Premiere, you need an NVIDIA card realistically. If you're using Resolve, you can get away with an AMD card very nicely. Actually, they seem to work better. So yeah, do whichever way works for you. There is 5 gift memberships going out from Dom. Thank you, Dom. Much appreciated. So the Ordinary Dude's been gifted a membership. Hayden Trent also. The Gypsy Stacker. Are we allowed to say Gypsy these days? Well, too late because I just did. Twice, yeah. Fizz was gifted a membership by Dom. How many did he? That was 5. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. And Gary One Eye. Gary, how many eyes do you actually have? Do you actually have one eye? If so, that's impressive and also very insightful. Oh, that's the wrong choice of word. You've also been gifted a membership for a month. Hopefully you enjoy it. Dom says, sorry, we'll interrupt the stream with some members gifting. Hope everyone enjoys the first day of spring. Christ almighty, it is the first day of spring. Thanos says, Mike, I like using a small mouse like yours. Hey, it's not about the size. Skystalker's got his membership back. Nice one. Silly old YouTube. Yeah, YouTube is bizarre. Skystalker, I think there's about 3 people at the moment which have all been membership for the same amount of time, which are like the high rankers. I think it was Skystalker, Arali. It's going to be really bad now. Kath's going to have a look now just to remind my memory. I looked at it the other day and I don't know why this is not fresh in my mind. But thank you, it is appreciated. I only use a little mouse because this is an easy one to stash underneath my desk here. I do have other mice, which are nicer. Fits well in my little hands.
Longest standing member.
Top longest standing member at the moment is...
There's 6 of them.
There's 6.
Is Skystalker.
Skystalker.
Rasher.
Paul Lamont.
Patrick LaBelle.
Patrick LaBelle.
Brick Welly Bob.
Welly Bob,
Rick H.
and Rick H. God bless you, all 6 of you. You are the long-term, longest remaining members. Continuous members, I should say. Thank you very much. You're lovely people. What's my tab up to at the
And
moment?
that's at 41 months.
41 months. Some people get out of prison earlier than that. So thank you. It's appreciated. Inspector X says, hello my friend Mike. Hello Inspector X. How are you? PC 2022 says, I remember when the 30... Yeah, I remember this. When the 3090 was supposed to be an 8K card. Yeah. Top 10 fail moments. Well, the thing is, games are getting more detailed, and developers are getting less good at creating games efficiently. So all of this extra texturing, all these extra effects, all take up lots of precious resources on your GPU. That is why if you run an older game now on a modern GPU, it runs like a bat of hell. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, I think it's just the way the industry is. The thing is, most games these days tend to be tailored towards consoles, and then they generally get ported from console to PC, or kind of tandem development. Now, even though consoles do use AMD graphics, mostly, AMD chips, obviously, it's not a direct port, because they don't work in the same way. Inspector X coming with a super chat there and asking a valid question, and has donated €2.49, I should say. I'm think by new GPU 5070 Ti or 5080 price per performance. That is a tough call. I'll be honest, I've got a 4070 Ti Super and I've got a 4080 non-super, and the difference between them is very minimal without running benchmarks. So it's a hard one to say. I would probably go with the 5070 Ti, to be honest with you, because I think the 5080s are still ridiculously expensive. And in fact, to all of you, the same thing. If you're thinking of buying a graphics card at the moment and you're kind of tossing up a couple of ideas, just get the cheaper one. Because at the moment they're so expensive, I can't honestly justifiably see graphics card pricing getting worse than it is now. Now, we partly have AMD to thank for that, for coming in and rescuing us with the 9070 and the 9070 XT. Now, again, this is all speculation at the moment because we haven't seen third-party benchmarks and we've not seen street pricing yet. So there's a lot of variables about, but already, due to this announcement, there have been some significant AMD discounts on the market, and also there has been some significant Nvidia discounts. And in fact, there was a 5070 Ti at MSRP for sale in stores this week, which was on Hot UK Deals, so $799, which was unusual to say the least. So there is a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction going on with all this stuff. Firestorm, thank you very much for becoming a supporter. Much appreciated. So for those of you that have just become supporters or members of the channel, honestly, I'll tell you the truth, because that's what we do here. You don't get a lot for your money. It's just a means of, like, basically having a tip jar. You do get some benefits, so every now and then, I'm not going to say yearly or 6 monthly, but every now and then, if you've been a continual member, we'll send you some merch free of charge. Like, it might be just a pen, a torch, a beanie, maybe a t-shirt, possibly a hoodie if you're lucky. We've kind of fallen off track of that recently a little bit, so we will be doing that again shortly. But yeah, potentially you might get that, no guarantees. But you do get the VIP member rank on our Discord, which is free to join anyway, but you're more than welcome to if you want to get involved with that. I'll put a link in the chat now, so if you want to join the Discord, you can do. Just let me know if you've bought membership or your paid membership and your username is different from what it is on YouTube in Discord. Just give me a heads up, say, look Mike, it's me, I'm such and such on YouTube. can you give me the VIP role, and you'll get it. Now, to be fair, the VIP role, you don't get a lot with that either, but you basically hired in other people. So you got members, you got others and stuff, you're going to be higher up. So you'll be visible, and you'll be seen to be supporting the channel, which is a good thing. We think it is, me and Kath anyway. You lot might not think so, but we enjoy it. And yeah, the support in Discord, I've got to say, actually, big shout out. Even Kath's clapping. That's not her ass cheeks slapping together. she's not doing her exercises. Oh dear, I just said that out loud, didn't I? Damn it.
You shouldn't
Anyway.
laugh that hard because your tits just went.
Yeah, I shouldn't laugh because my boobs are moving.
You both play that game.
Sorry. Disrespect each other. I can't remember what I was going to say now. Yeah, Discord. So the guys and girls over in the Discord who help out in the tech support channels, you're all amazing. We all do it free of charge, basically. Like, well, I kind of get a little bit of a kickback because it's my channel, but realistically, we all help out in there free of charge. So yeah, if you've got any problems or questions or anything that maybe you've asked in a video or even in the live stream and it hasn't been fully answered, or you haven't quite understood it, you need a little bit more hand holding, that is what the Discord is for. So you can go in there, you can ask your questions.
Fast responses.
Pretty fast responses, realistically, considering we're a UK channel and time zone differences. But we've got quite a few Canadian members, we've got quite a few German members, we've got quite a few American members in the various time zones and stuff. So yeah, there's pretty much something going on there most of the time of the day these days, which is excellent. And I think there's about 5,000 members at the moment, somewhere around that sort of figure. So yeah, there's a lot of people about, or at least there can be, depending on the time of day, and actually how many people are actually interested in computers at the time. At the moment, we seem to be at quite a lull, but hopefully things will get better as there's more GPUs and stuff. Another super chat from Mark Gaines. Mark Gaines, you're opening your wallet up tonight. God bless you, and all those that sail in you.
Oh, I've turned it off before you even done.
Sorry, Mark Gaines' question. Mike, Ryzen 9000 CPUs, what would be the one to go for? Now that is a very good question, but it's also a very difficult one to answer because it depends what you are doing. The new upcoming, the 9950X3D, looks to be absolutely amazing. It's as good as the 9900X, so yeah, 9900X in terms of like real world performance. So for Blender, render, all that kind of stuff. All of those productivity tasks, it looks like it's going to do as good, if not better. Because normally the 3D Vcache models tend to suffer a little bit on some of those tasks because of the lower clock speeds and the way Vcache works. But it does seem that the 9950X3D is going to be... Oh, sorry, I get the numbers confused. Basically, yeah, it's going to be as good as its non-3D component in normal tasks, but it's going to be actually better in 3D tasks because of the 3D Vcache. So that is going to be the CPU to go for. If you just want the most power, the most cores, the dog's Watsits of processors, then that is going to be the one to get when it comes out. If you don't want to be the absolute bees Watsits, then it's hard to say really. You've obviously got the 9800X3D, which is like what most people want. That is probably the most sensible solution for most people, like 8 core, 16 threads, Vcache. It's going to be great. It isn't going to be a slouch in video editing or rendering or internet tasks, that sort of stuff. It's going to be fine for that. But for gaming, it's going to be absolutely awesome. Now, me personally, on the AMD side of the fence, I'm still rocking some older equipment. So I've got a 7700X in this PC. I've got in my media center in the front room, I've got an 8600G because it doesn't need anything really powerful. And I've got a couple of 7700s. Now for me, the 7700s are awesome because they don't cost a lot, like 150 quid on AliExpress, and I strongly suggest you buy them from there. Don't buy processors retail because they're like double the price and it's absolutely insane. I checked today on Amazon.co.uk, the Ryzen 7 7700 non-X is £279. You can buy the same processor without a cooler, without a 5-year or 3-year warranty on AliExpress for £148, including taxes, including shipping. Now, if the cooler means a lot to you, buy a retail one. If you want to use the warranty, buy a retail one. But if you just want a cheap processor, which is flipping excellent, just get it off AliExpress. Yes, there's a bit of a risk, but use PayPal, use your credit cards. If anything goes wrong, to be honest with you, AliExpress are brilliant. They'll just give you your money back. If you make a complaint, more times than not, they will just give you your money back. It might take a little bit of squabbling now and then, but generally I've always found it to be very good with graphics cards, CPUs, whatever. So yeah, that is my two penneth worth. I love the 7700 and the 7700X. They perform roughly the same as like a 5800X 3D. So for gaming wise, this is absolutely brilliant. Yes, Kath?
Jota.
How many?
Jota.
Jota. Hopefully that answers your question. Other than that, I don't know. 90, is there a 9700? Probably is. I've not paid it a great deal of attention, if I'm completely honest with you, because prices are just nuts. And the 7000 series offer so much value on AliExpress at the moment. It's bananas.
Come on then. Come on. What's wrong, my little love?
What name did you say it was, Kath?
Jota.
I can't even see a Jota. How far up was that? Oh, Jota! Jota Neo!
Rob.
There we go. ROG B850E or Nova X870E. Which would you get? I honestly don't know. I really don't know. I would struggle. Now, for me, as someone who tries to make content on a semi-regular basis and using things like video capture cards and multiple drives, the extra PCI Express lanes of the 870 or even the 570 or even the 670 chipsets, for me, does make some amount of sense. If, however, on the other hand, you are just Joe Gamer and you like playing your games, you want to buy a nice graphics card, a nice processor, you're not particularly bothered about oodles of storage and additional capture cards and stuff, then yeah, I wouldn't bother. I would go for just a 650, 650E. There isn't really any great benefits of the 800 chipsets other than integrated USB 4, which, like, do you need USB 4? Do you need USB 3? If you're someone who's just playing games, plug in your joystick, plug in your keyboard and mouse, you're off to the races, aren't you? You're only using your USB 2s. So, yeah, that is a hard one to answer, Jota. I honestly don't know. And between those two boards, the ROG and the Nova, honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. There's so many options on the market at the moment. I think actually one of the biggest not downfalls, that's the wrong word to say. The biggest disappointment for me has been AMD chipsets, because the chipsets numbers change, but the features don't, not really. Like, it's very, very minimal. There doesn't seem to be any real progression as such. Like when we went from B450 to B550, yes, it was a little bit more expensive, but we got things. We actually got things which are genuinely beneficial. PCI Express Gen 4, more PCI Express lanes, more M.2 slots, better memory capabilities, better USB, Type-C support, all those kind of things as well. And obviously faster PCI Express on the other slots, which made capture cards and all that kind of stuff more of a reality. But these days now, if you get yourself a nice B650 motherboard, you basically got everything you need anyway. Chances are it's going to have PCI Express Gen 5 on the top slot. It's generally going to have PCI Express Gen 5 for the M.2s on the top slots as well from the CPU. So you're not really going to be gaining anything by going for the 800 series. Yes, it's going to be slightly more modern. Maybe you're going to get some more longevity, and arguably it might have better memory support, but it's unlikely. So I don't know.
PC22.
PC22.
Now I know where all Mike's hair went. Into the tail.
Into the tail, yeah, it's right.
Dave, you've stolen all the fur.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know what to say. Yes, that is Dave, Craig says. It is Dave. Bless him. Irofman says PCIe equals chips, new chipset. It does, but the thing is, the 800 chipset is basically just a rebadged 600 with USB 4 bolted on. It's not even a new real chipset as such. Ira Wolfman says if AMD stuck with AM4 CPU socket, might still be on AM4, not AM5. I miss AM4, I really do.
Coming over? Should we give out some memberships?
Yeah, let's give out some memberships as well. Let's do that. And if you've got any more questions, let's get them into the chat. Unbelievably, we've got 197 of you watching concurrently at the moment, which is pretty good. It's amazing, isn't it? You put something in a thumbnail about wood and you get viewers. It's impressive. Or we've just done something to the YouTube algorithm today. I didn't put any tags in the video, so I don't know. Or maybe you're all just waiting for the racing to start later on. You're trying to keep yourselves awake. Who knows? How do you pronounce that? Hafiz? Hafish? Hafish says, I love the cat, by the way. Yeah, we do. Dave's great. He is great. He's got sharp teeth, though, and claws.
Oh, very curled claws.
His claws are... Oh, dear. So, there we go. There are some new memberships gone out. So, to Digju 6053, Robert McNamara, Adriano Salomon, sorry, John Nelson, James Tierney. There you go. Yeah, while you're here, hit the likes. Good idea. Mark Berry says AM4 for the foreseeable future. Patrick T. Slow it down is the last part of my question I forgot to add. Oh, I'm going to have to scroll up. Hang on. Patrick T. Is it true or false with having two M.2 drives on my desktop motherboard does have to have... Oh, hang on. Let me try and work this out. So is it true or false having two M.2 drives on my desktop motherboard does have a SATA... I don't understand that question. If you're trying to ask if having two M.2 drives slows down your PC, it might do. But it depends on your motherboard and how the manufacturer has set up the bifurcation or the PCI slots. So they can choose to implement PCI Express, excuse me, pretty much however they like. So depending on what the circumstances are, what the board is aimed at, who it's tailored towards, certain manufacturers will give certain preference to M.2 slots, some will give preference to expansion slots, some will give preference to USB. So it depends on what they're doing. But if you let me know which motherboard it is, I can give you a better idea. Oh, right, you meant if the SATA drive slowed down the other drives, both PCIe. Right, no. A SATA drive won't slow down the rest of your system unless it is a mechanical drive, because when the system's spinning up the heads on a mechanical drive, or sorry, spinning up the platters and getting the heads ready, that often will make systems lag out, because even the fastest systems, if you put a slow drive in there with slow access speeds, that's going to be your bottleneck. But a modern SATA SSD on a modern PCI Express based system isn't going to be a problem at all, unless the drive's knackered. If the drive's knackered or on its way out, or it's got like its wear limits are being reached, that might have an impact on the system. But no, having a SATA based drive on a modern PCI Express system isn't going to slow down your PCI Express drives, and rarely will slow down your system, unless maybe you've got some very, very small files and lots of them that you're trying to search in like a database or something. That might happen because it's got slower I/O, but no, not anything meaningful. PC 2022 says, when you don't have enough PCI Express lanes, not all ports work simultaneously. Yeah, that's true. So B450, B550 and B650 boards in general Although they'll have multiple M.2 slots and multiple PCI Express slots, you cannot use all of them at all the same time. And possibly you may lose SATA ports. So if you plug in, say, a lower M.2 drive, that might share PCI Express lanes with the SATA controller, in which case installing one will disable the other. So those are things to look out for, certainly. Rasher's on the list. Oh, which last? What's that?
That was the members list, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Rasher's behind on the chat. You need to fast forward. I thought you meant the Epstein list. I'm kidding. I'm joking. Clearly, I'm joking. I've known Rasher for a long time. He's not on the list. Don't think he's on the list. Patrick T says the motherboard is the Pro B650 VC Wi-Fi. Wow, I've never heard of that board before. Let's have a look, see what that is about. Can I highlight that? Yes. Let's search Google for that, see what it is. So, MSI Pro 650 VC Wi-Fi. Let's have a look, see what the setup is here. And that's a very strange looking board. Let's have a look. Specifications. Support. Sorry. Oh, look at this. I know this is very boring for some of you, but someone might find it interesting. Manuals and documents, multi-language download. Excuse me. Right. What do we want? PCI Express. Quite often you don't get the full details on the motherboard box, so you have to really look at the user manual to find out the full SP. Fan controllers, reset. Where's the bloody PC? Oh, right, okay, here are ports. Chassis intrusion. No, can't see anything obvious here. Oh, here we go. So M.2. You might be alright on there because there's only 2 M.2 slots. It's normally the third slot which causes problems. Okay, so yeah, you've got PCI Express Gen 4x16 on the top slot. So it hasn't got PCI Express Gen 5 on the top slot. So that's saved some lanes. You've also got PCI Express Gen 3x1. Actually, I can show you the screen, that'd be easier. So you can see there, PCI Express expansion slots. So the top one's times 4x16. The next one down is a 3x1. Then you've got a 4x4, which is coming from the chipset. And then you've got a 3x1 from the chipset. So it doesn't appear that there's any degradation there or any issues with adding them. Let's have a quick look through. No, 1, 2. Right, you may find that on the SATA ports some of them are shared. So SATA 1 and SATA 2 are probably shared from PCI Express lanes. And SATA A1, A2, A3 and A4 are probably from the chipset directly. But yeah, it doesn't specify anything in there obvious. So no, I think you're probably alright. I think you're probably okay. It's a slightly, I wouldn't say unusual, but it's a slightly different board. It looks like the board has been designed with kind of more professionals in mind rather than gaming. So they generally tend to do pretty sensible things with the setup, because not having PCI Express Gen 5 on the graphics card slot actually does give you a lot of performance, or sorry, a lot of lanes and a lot of bandwidth available for the PCI Express Gen 4 stuff. So yeah, I think you've done all right there. I don't think you're going to have any problems at all. Harish says, any ideas about the ASRock B650M Pro RS Wi-Fi mic? No, I've not had that board. That is one I've been looking to get in at some point. I think the Pro RS Wi-Fi isn't very dissimilar from the Pro 4, was it, we had? I think the Pro RS is just like a slightly more jazzy version of it. I don't know much about it, to be fair. But seems like a good board, very popular. PC 2022 says, I think he only listed his motherboard because you thought it was a PCI Express issue at first, but he confirmed it's another issue, SATA slowing down when M.2 is used. You shouldn't really... Yeah, I don't really quite understand how that is happening. It depends what you're doing and what you're transferring to. So say, for instance, for me, if I'm transferring files to my NAS, this is a very simplified thing, but it's a similar thing. So file transfers. So if I have a USB drive plugged into my computer, I then try and send a file to my NAS, like a 1 terabyte file or something on USB. The USB drive is going to be limited to like 90 megabytes per second anyway, because the computer, but the USB is capable of doing so much more, and the NAS can do up to like 250 megabytes per second. If I then start transferring from one of my M.2 or SATA drives on my PC and transfer into the same place, that is still sharing that 250 megabyte data bandwidth that I've got in the Cat5 cables or Cat5e cables. So you might see some slowdowns if you're doing things like that, or if you're transferring like 2 files from 2 different drives to one other drive, you're not going to get the full speeds because they're kind of both trying to access the pipeline at the same time. So I probably need to know more about the problem in specifics, but again, we have a Discord, so you're more than welcome. I'll put the links in the chat. So if you want to check it out, you're more than welcome to. And we can try and work out what is going on. Dom says, who hasn't touched the like button? I haven't yet. Although I haven't got it on my screen, so I can't. Liking your own videos, how bad is that? What did you say, Kath?
I did it.
Oh, Kath did it.
On your account.
David Underhill says the MSI B550 Tomahawk shares PCI Express lanes with the PCI Express ×1 slots and the SATA ports, but the Pro VDH Wi-Fi board doesn't. Yeah, like I said, they do some very bizarre things. I think the Tomahawk's probably got better USB in terms of... No, actually, I think it's got the same. It's been a while, I haven't seen these boards, but yeah, they do have some bizarre things. Sinister Chef. I'm not sure if that's Chief or Chef then. Sinister Chef. Is it possible, Mike, I would be able to message you on Discord? I have a question for you about the 7800 XT you showed a bit earlier ago. My name is the same here as it is on Discord, by the way. Yeah, so drop into the Discord, and it probably won't be tonight, but tomorrow when I finish work, I will try and get onto the Discord and say hello. No worries.
After he's watched his computing thing, what was it?
After I've watched Adrian's Tech Basement.
Not that one.
What? Oh, yeah, explaining computers. Hello, and welcome to Explaining Computers. That annoying pause he does at the end. I love him, he's great.
He watches him every Sunday.
Rasher says Discord is not for drunken members like me. Aletta says I was like number 9. Thank you, Aletta. Alright, okay. I think we have pretty much come to the end. If you've got any last minute questions, please stick them in the chat now, but this is like the 5-minute warning, so if you've got any...
5 minutes?
Well, 5-second warning. Or until my bladder's full.
Answer a question in 5 minutes.
I couldn't answer a question in 5 minutes. So hopefully by this... Actually, no. What's the date today?
First.
It's the 1st today. Oh, where's the... Oh, I forgot. When you click on the date on your secondary monitor, it doesn't come up. So the graphics cards are released on the 8th, aren't they? So that's Saturday. 7 days time. So yeah, by the time we get to this stream next week, we should know a little bit more about the graphics cards. The reviews will probably go out on the 7th, on the Friday. So everyone will be on a shopping frenzy, buying all the graphics cards on Saturday. So we'll see how that goes. Is it the 6th or the 7th or the 8th? I think it's the 8th that they come out, that they're actually released. I'm not sure. I might be wrong. I need to look at that again. I could have swore it's the 8th of March. They're available.
March.
Yeah, 8th of March. I thought it was.
And 6th with a question mark, Jay Gordon.
Yeah, the 6th might be... I guess there was going to be a release cycle. So the the factory cards, or the non-OC cards, will be out for review on the 6th, I believe. And then the OC cards will be out for review on the 7th. And then you can purchase them in stores on the 8th. I think that is correct. I might be wrong, but I think that's what it is. Because AMD have done something interesting, actually. They've made it so that there's a 9070, there's a 9070 XT, and there's a 9070 XT OC. So if manufacturers want to produce an OC version and charge more for it, they can do. Or they can do just a standard XT using like the vanilla AMD footprint and sell it at the MSRP. So there's going to be a 9070 MSRP and overclock models. There's going to be a 9070 XT, like base model, and slightly overclock models. But then there's also the 9070 XT OC, which is another segment again. So that's going to be like your ridiculous overkill cards. Anyway, there you go. I think that is going to be pretty much it. Oh, shame we didn't get to 200 concurrent viewers. Been trying to get to there for a while. Never mind. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. If you have, don't forget to leave a like on it if you haven't already. And don't forget, if you're new here and you're wondering what all this is about, you can subscribe to the channel. And also, you can head over to some of our, I wouldn't say sponsors, but companies we like to work with because they do good stuff. premiumcdkeys.com/Mike's Unboxing for basically the cheapest Windows keys that are legit on the market by quite a margin. And also you can buy yourself a desk pad like the Mike's Unboxing one from our good friends at Technically Stable. They got some deals on at the moment as well. So yeah, I think that is pretty much it. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews. And oh, actually, I should say as well, massive shout out again to Colin Hilton for donating the case to the channel, and also the Antec C5, which we've got coming up in the week. So yeah, all that coming on. We might do another live stream during the week this week because I need to do a build and get it out of the way. So maybe there'll be another live stream in the week. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But yeah, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Have a fantastic weekend, and yeah, let's look forward to see what AMD brings us next week. Thanks a lot. Have a nice weekend, and we'll see you later. Cheerio. Bye.